stand out there and be a cardboard cutout. But if Aaron Rodgers is going to get him the football and he's going to help him win, I think Green Bay is the best spot.
GJ and Max, mornings on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
ESPN, in partnership with Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions, presents Always College Football with Greg McElroy.
Is Bryce Young 100%? Can he drive the football? Can he throw it into tight windows? Can he push the ball down the field? These are all legitimate questions. And with an AC sprain, a lot of it has to do with pain management. And if he can't cut it loose without pain, it'll be really difficult for this offense to do what they want to do.
Always College Football with Greg McElroy. Listen wherever you get.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. And we are live here on a Monday. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome, sir.
What up, though?
Did you have a good weekend?
Great weekend. Got a chance to go visit my mom, my grandmother, my dad, my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, the nephew. Couple cousins got seen as well. Good time up there in the 216.
We were both in Cleveland over the weekend, so I'm glad you had a good time. Actually, I had a great time in Cleveland. It wasn't the result I wanted for the Cleveland Browns, but we'll be talking a lot of Browns, a lot of Bengals today.
Will we be talking Guardians?
We will be talking Guardians. That is on deck. Even though, Guardians fans didn't exist until just a few days ago, I will do my best. You weren't here on Friday. I went on a rant against Guardians fans. So I come in and Brett, our boss, is like, hey, man, the phones, emails, people furious. We're not carrying the Guardians game on Friday. And I said, I didn't know Guardians fans existed. I was like, outside of Kev, I don't know any Guardians fans at all whatsoever. Yes, we will talk about the Guardians and the American League Division Series coming up. They got the Yankees, that's for sure.
Bring them on.
We'll talk NFL to open up. And by the way, 518-1410, I believe. Yeah, the phone lines are open. Yeah, 518-1410. Give us a call. We're going to open up, of course, with talking about the NFL, because the NFL over the weekend, the Bengals and the Browns for the second straight week, the AFC North had 3 of the 4 teams lose. Back-to-back weeks, 3 of 4 AFC North teams fell. Last week, it was, of course, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers who went down. This week, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers went down. The Ravens coming out victorious in I think, an exciting matchup last night. That's the thing. The NFL has tested the theory that all close games are exciting. No, this year there's been a lot. Think back to Thursday Night Football. That was a close game that was not exciting. Last night, you have 2 potential MVP candidates, not Joe Burrow, but should be Jamar Chase. You have Joe Mixon. You have stars all over the place for the Bengals, stars all over the place for the Ravens, and it was a horrible game. I thought it was very boring. It was not, can't say it was 2 good defenses. The Ravens defense is not good. The Bengals defense is very good. That is the one thing I will open up with, talking about the Bengals defense. But 2 offenses led by guys that we shouldn't be talking about issues that they have. How many guys did Lamar overthrow last night? Joe Burrow, when did he become the check down king? I mean, my goodness. This is pretty unbelievable watching 2 guys that I expected more of last night. That looked pretty average. We'll talk about that. So let's open up. We'll talk about the Browns. We'll talk about the Bengals. The Browns and the Bengals, Kev, both 2-3 as we currently sit here right now. Both 2-3. The Browns, I think, are the least surprising to be at 2-3 just because of, coming in. What would they look like without Deshaun Watson? The Bengals also kind of, that's the very surprising because of the fact that they were in the Super Bowl last year. They brought back the entire roster and upgraded the offensive line. And last night, Joe Burrow only sacked 2 times, but still looked very average. But the thing that everyone's talking about today, Kev, is Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is who everyone, Bengals fans, putting the blame on Zach Taylor. And I can't wrap my head around that. Zach Taylor has not been a great play caller. I can't wrap my head around it. What I can't wrap my head around is putting all of the struggles of the Bengals on him. The Bengals are not average to start this season because of Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor also took this team to a Super Bowl last year. I think the one thing that Bengals fans are terrified to do, Kev, the one thing that they are very terrified to do, because they talked a lot of smack last year, they talked a lot of smack in the offseason. The one thing with the Bengals struggles here early at 2-3 and losing last night, the one thing I think Bengals fans are the most nervous about and this is why they're piling it on Zach Taylor, is because it maybe, just maybe, some of this is on Joe Burrow. Maybe, just maybe, the guy that looked like Superman last year that could do no wrong is doing a lot of wrong this year. And instead of saying, hey, maybe it's Joe Burrow, no, it can't be Joe Burrow, we got to blame Zach Taylor. When at no point throughout the run of Lamar and with the Ravens have Bengals fans ever said, well, maybe it's the play calling of Harbaugh. No. You just say Lamar's average. When Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland, it wasn't, oh, man, they're just not bad play calling. No, it's just Baker's the problem. Bengals fans rip every other quarterback in the NFL when they're not playing well. It's not play calling. It's not, oh, we don't have a backup long snapper. It's not this. It's not that. No, it's just the head coach. The head coach is the one that we're going to blame here in Zach Taylor. Here's the problem I have with that. Joe Burrow's been very, very average. Very, very average. I have the numbers to prove it. And when I look at that and I hear people say, well, Kev, Zach Taylor needs to give up play calling responsibilities. If you really want him to give up play calling responsibilities, you might as well just fire him. Because what good is having an offensive-minded head coach that you don't even trust to run an offense? That doesn't make any sense. If the Rams did not trust Sean McVay to run an offense, they would get rid of him, right? If Andy Reid couldn't call an offense, he wouldn't be the head coach. It would just be Bieniemy, right? Like, that's the thing about all of this is we got to stop with this charade of, oh, Zach Taylor's the problem. No, Zach Taylor's not the problem. If Joe Burrow converts on these plays that he calls, we're not talking about the play calls being a problem. We only question a coach when a play does not pan out. When a play pans out, we talk about how aggressive they are and how, oh, Zach Taylor, he's being aggressive, and that's what the players love about him. But when he's aggressive and they don't convert, we say he's the problem. It can't be both ways. A coach can't be aggressive and great when they only convert, but then when he's aggressive and they don't convert, he's not great. It doesn't work that way. I have a huge problem with putting all the blame of the struggles of the Bengals early on the head coach, because this head coach took him to a Super Bowl last year, all right? But we're going to put no blame on Joe Burrow and say that Joe Burrow's struggles are because of Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor didn't overthrow multiple guys last night. Zach Taylor didn't make bad throws last night. That was Joe Burrow against a defense, by the way, that all of you Bengals fans told me, we're going to eat. Well, y'all seem pretty hungry today.
I give a lot of credit to the defensive coordinator of the Ravens. The Ravens for years under Wink Martindale were a man-to-man heavy blitz team. This year they tried to do that again. And they realized, hey, we can't play man-to-man coverage. They got tore to pieces against the Dolphins in the second half. And then the other game against the Buffalo Bills, they got scorched. So what they started doing in this game is playing a lot of zone and keeping everything in front of you. And something that nobody is going to ever question about the Baltimore Ravens is the ability to tackle. So they keep everything in front of you, tackle, and try to force you to drive the entire length of the field. So that takes away the big plays that the Bengals were so known for, especially last year. So I want to give a lot of credit to the Ravens for not only switching up their scheme, because that's what good coaching is. Hey, we realize we can't do X, Y, and Z well, so we need to change something. And that's something for the Baltimore Ravens, was running a ton of zone, something they haven't been known for quite a few years. And then you look at it from the Cincinnati Bengals perspective, every team or every game isn't going to be fireworks. If we go back to last year, the Buffalo Bills, who put up 40-something points in that epic playoff game versus Kansas City Chiefs, were shut out last year. Nobody would have thought that would happen. Last year, Tampa Bay was shut out by New Orleans. Nobody would have thought that. The NFL season is a long marathon. Even if you look at like how the Bengals played early in the season last year, it wasn't how they finished the season. It surely wasn't how they finished the month of December, where they were beating teams by a ton of points. Like they beat the Ravens and the Steelers, and they came back on Kansas City in their regular season game. Like it kind of like is a ramping up period. That's why we always had that phrase about like teams that like the Cardinals. And I even posed this question on Twitter about Buffalo. Are they peaking too early? You want to be peaking at the right time.
Like so, the Cardinals last year. Remember they peaked. They were the hottest team to start.
Running out the gate. So I wouldn't worry if I was the Cincinnati Bengals, but I definitely wouldn't put all the blame on coach. I mean, if there's anything to be just questioning or just weirded out by is, the Philly special play that everybody seems to run. Look, man, I don't ever want to see the Philly special again. Everybody's prepared for the Philly special because everybody tries to run the Philly special inside the 20. So teams are aware, like, be ready for the Philly special, stay home. Nobody's falling for the Philly special anymore, much like nobody falls for the Wildcat anymore. Philly special is done. Coaches, stop doing it. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying the Wildcat either. So stop doing it. So if I was a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I wouldn't be complaining about anything that he did outside of that play. I wasn't open arms about them going for it on fourth down instead of, quote unquote, taking the points, because ultimately you did end up getting the lead and your defense wasn't able to keep them from driving down the field and kicking a game-winning field goal. So for my money, the only really questionable thing that he did in this game, if we're only talking about this game specifically, is the Philly special. Don't like that. If I got a quarterback, I'm going to have him throw the ball instead of a dude that's a wide receiver. I'd rather him be throwing him the football, because guess what? He does that for a living. He throws the ball for a living. He catches the ball for a living. So if anybody want to be talking about play calling, and I'm not a big play calling guy, but chill with the Philly special. I saw a Philly special twice yesterday. Neither one of them worked. Stop running it.
Yeah, so if the Philly special is not called there and they just call a regular play that Joe Burrow does not convert on, are we saying that he's still the problem? Probably, because Bengals fans don't want to admit that Joe Burrow has looked very average. Quarterbacks like Cooper Rush and others have not significantly, that's an aggressive word, but they have better numbers. And I have those numbers in front of me. I'll talk about those in a moment. But Joe Burrow right now completed 35 passes. He threw for 217 yards against one of the worst secondaries in the National Football League. This isn't a Zach Taylor problem. This is a Joe Burrow problem. I told you this last season, that he's starting to feel himself a little too much, that the offense is getting a little too cocky. Jamar Chase going on podcasts and taking shots at the Browns secondary, making fun of the Ravens secondary. Well, they're 0-2 in the division. I said coming into this season that every team was now going to be prepared for the Bengals. Y'all thought I was hating. I was using common sense. I could see, well, that's a problem for some of you who are mad at me right now, and that's okay. We're going to get to my team. My team's a joke right now, too. We'll talk about the Browns in a moment. But let's be clear. Every team is ready for the Bengals now, Kev. You see how many times Jamar Chase got popped last night? That Ravens secondary, they're not the best in football, not by a long shot, but they made sure every chance they had a chance to just shoulder him, check him, hit him. They took him out of the ballgame. He wasn't a factor last night. Joe Burrow wasn't a factor last night. Joe Mixon, for the fifth straight game, didn't rush for over 100 yards. He's not a factor either right now. This offense has a lot of issues, and it's guys not stepping up on the field. Zach Taylor's not perfect. He's never been perfect. He's average on a good day. But to say that guy right there, that guy average on a good day, was the same guy that took him to a Super Bowl last year, because those players on the field overcame that. Well, those players aren't overcoming it this year. So you could say he's the problem. He's not the problem. The problem is Joe Burrow's not as good as last year. Joe Mixon has regressed. Jamar Chase is not intimidating teams as much as he did a year ago, and he's not eating like he did a year ago. That's the problem right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a lot of offensive issues. I know Joe Burrow only got sacked 2 times last night, but me and friends are watching that game, and we looked at the sack total at the end, Kevin. I'm like, he only got sacked 2 times? He got hit. The Ravens were pissed. Their goal was to hit him and hit him hard. He got hit a lot last night. I know he only got sacked twice, but any time that they had an opportunity to lay one in him, Kev, they did it. Any time that they had a chance to shoulder Jamar Chase and check him hard, they did it. That's what I meant coming into the year, Kev, that teams were going to be prepared for the Bengals. The Bengals weren't just going to be able to walk into these stadiums and come and sneak up on teams. That was last year, because the Bengals had won 6 games combined the previous 2. They didn't really believe that the Bengals were going to be legit. They took their foot off the gas and kind of overlooked the Bengals. The Bengals were a trap game for a lot of teams last year, okay? And then all of a sudden this year, everyone knows that the Bengals had the potential to be great. So the Ravens, they're going to bed a little bit earlier the night before. They're waking up a little bit earlier to start preparing for the game against the Bengals that night earlier than before. The Bengals are on everyone's radar. They're prepared for it. That's why every team looks more prepared than the Bengals offense. And Kev, if it wasn't for the Bengals defense, they'd have probably been blown out in all 5 of these ball games, because the defense for the Bengals, I'll give them credit. They've looked awesome. I love the Bengals defense. I'm jealous of the Bengals defense. The Bengals, if you ask me right now, I want the Browns offense or the Bengals offense, I'll take the Browns offense. I'll take Jacoby Brissett in the boneheaded plays he makes late in games, but I'll take that run game and Amari Cooper and what's happening with that offense, the 5th most efficient offense in the National Football League right now. I'll take the Browns offense over the Bengals offense right now. And I'll take the Bengals defense over what the Browns have any day. And then we have Myles Garrett. So the Bengals have issues, Kev, and if I had to make a list of the top 5 reasons that they're struggling this year, I don't know if Zach Taylor is even in the top 5 list, is on the top 5 list of reasons that they're struggling. How much of this has to do, Kev, do you think, with teams making notes of the Bengals from last year? They talked a lot in the offseason. They did a lot of podcasts. Joe Burrow just very confident, but it comes across cocky. That rubs teams the wrong way. Teams are prepared for them. The Ravens last night, they couldn't wait to get their hands on the Bengals, and it showed.
The talking, a goose egg. I put a goose egg on that. Like, I put most of that on, all right, we've seen what you do well. We have a whole season of it, and these defensive coordinators get paid a ton of money to break down film and to try to stop you. So I put way more. If I had to put a percentage on it, I would put about 95% on, hey, man, the defensive coordinator is breaking down film and getting those guys ready, and then 5% on the trash talk.
All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. The Bengals, of course, lost a close one last night. Again, they fall to 2-3 on the season, 19-17. They've already had quite a few one-possession losses on the year. Add this one to the list. I mean, they are struggling right now offensively. Let's talk about a team that's struggling in the opposite way. They're struggling defensively, and that's my Cleveland Browns. I went to my very first Browns game yesterday, Kev, my very first Browns game, and I got the full Browns game experience. I got the fun tailgating before, the passionate fans all around me. I even got a great game, but I had a typical Browns finish. I got the full experience of what it was like to be a Browns fan yesterday. We'll talk about the Cleveland Browns coming up, and then we'll continue taking your calls in reaction to the Bengals' 19-17 loss against the Ravens, and we'll even talk about Kev's Steelers, the AFC North. Very, very interesting.
Do we have to talk about the Steelers?
Well, yeah, it's punishment for you. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 72. Tonight's going to be clear with starry skies, a low near 48. And tomorrow's going to be clear and sunny, a high near 75. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
Wendy's new French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's new French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Wendy's new French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's new French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
When you download the Home Depot app, taking on big or small projects starts with a tap. It's your pocket-sized toolbox for getting more done. Image search helps you find what you need with a snap. Store mode pinpoints exactly where to go to get what you want while you're at our store. Or just tap to arrange for easy curbside pickup. All from the palm of your hand. It's the app that's made for doing. The Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code IMPACT at checkout. That's harrys.com, code IMPACT. Enjoy!
It's time for Frickin' Football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a Frickin' Chicken Taco, Grilled Chicken Taco, or Mississippi Barbecue Taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Get a stylish solution for every room with window treatments at Menards and save with 11% off everything. Get window images, room darkening vinyl and aluminum blinds, faux wood blinds, and cellular shades trimmed to width for free. Choose from durable, economical options to stunning custom designs, all 11% off. Good through October 16th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Right now, opening up the show today, of course, all the reaction to the Browns and the Bengals over the weekend. We opened up the show with reaction to the Bengals. The Bengals lose to the Ravens last night, and I opened up with my thoughts on all the reaction on social media, really stemming behind Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor's the problem. Zach Taylor's this. Zach Taylor's that. Zach Taylor is also, for everyone protecting the players that took this team to a Super Bowl last year, the head coach also took this team to a Super Bowl last year as well. And I think that a lot of the anger and the frustration with Bengals fans is being put on Zach Taylor because you don't want to admit that maybe last year was a Cinderella run. Maybe last year the team wasn't as good as you thought. Maybe Kinner was right all along. Maybe not. I'm just saying, well, maybe it's maybe. All right. But in all seriousness, I do believe that a lot of the frustration is just, it's easier to blame Zach Taylor. It's easier to blame coaching. You know, Baker Mayfield's about to play for his sixth head coach in his career. Baker Mayfield's not a good quarterback. I was dead wrong on that. However, at that time when you guys were taking shots at Baker all along when he was in Cleveland, when he was winning games and taking them to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs, you guys weren't willing to give him the benefit of the doubt when he was struggling early and say it was coaching. He's about to play for his sixth head coach in 5 years. When Baker was struggling, it was just because he was bad. It wasn't because of coaching, right? It was because he was just bad. But when your quarterback is struggling, he just not our quarterback. Our quarterback, there's no way he's a bomb. He is Tom Brady the second. This has to be a coaching issue. No. This is a Tom Brady issue. Or this is a Joe Burrow issue. I'm sorry. This is a Joe Burrow issue. At the end of the day, this is a quarterback issue. Because last year, you want to know what the Bengals had? They had this same average head coach in Zach Taylor. They had this same average head coach in Zach Taylor, and they also had a bad offensive line last year. The offensive line is technically better this year. Joe Burrow's being sacked less over the last 3 games, right? That's what you guys said. Protect him, give him more time in the pocket. Oh, man, look out. Well, I'm looking, and I'm not impressed. He does have more time in the pocket. He's being hit significantly less. I'm not impressed. Are you? No, you're not, but you don't want to admit that, so you just blame it on Zach Taylor. Saying that you want Zach Taylor to give up play calling duties, you may as well just say you want him fired, and maybe you do. But if you actually think that an offensive-minded head coach should have the play calling duties taken away from him, if you take offensive play calling duties away from an offensive-minded head coach, what do you have? You have nothing. You know what I mean? Like if you have if Mike Tomlin, all right, or a defensive-minded coach was the defensive coordinator, and all of a sudden they have by the way, they are pretty bad defensively. All right, but if they are the worst part of the Steelers is their defense, and Mike Tomlin's a defensive coordinator, that's a problem, right? That's a problem, but they're really, really bad offensively, so he's lucky there as far as that goes. Zach Taylor is like Sean McVay and all these other offensive-minded head coaches. They were brought in to bring their offensive prowess to the team, and if you don't have offensive prowess, you shouldn't be a head coach. I've been saying that about Zach Taylor for years. It's kind of hard to bash a head coach that just took a team to a Super Bowl. So stop blaming Zach Taylor. He made some questionable play calls last night. You know, if you go to every single chat board for every NFL team, you know what every fan does, Kev? They question, I can't believe they called this play in the second quarter with 3 minutes left. Oh, I can't believe they had so-and-so on the sideline during this situation right here. Every single one of you think you could be an NFL head coach, and you can't. You probably are barely successful at your job, and you're trying to tell Zach Taylor how to do his. Zach Taylor's not perfect, but he's not the problem either. Because you know why? Zach Taylor was still the same head coach last year, but they overcame it. And why did they overcome it? Well, because Joe Burrow made a lot of huge plays. Jamar Chase made a lot of big plays. Joe Mixon made a lot of big plays. Stop blaming the average head coach who's still being average like last year. The only people that aren't doing what they were last year is Joe Burrow. It's Joe Mixon. It's Jamar Chase. I know T. Higgins is hurt, but if you think that the whole reason that the offense has taken a step back this year is because T. Higgins has been banged up, I don't know what to tell you because that's not accurate. Joe Burrow is the problem right now. Did you know Joe Burrow, Kev, is 16th in completion percentage in the NFL? All right. That's worse than he has a worse completion percentage in the NFL than Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, Ryan Tannehill, and Geno Smith.
Geno.
All right. Joe Burrow is 13th in yards per game. He had the quarterbacks that he is worse than is Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, and he only averages 1 more yard per game than Mac Jones right now. That's not good. Do you guys think Mac Jones is a good NFL quarterback? No, he's okay, but he's not what the Bengals just sold the licensing to their entire stadium because we got to pay Joe Burrow. Do you think the Patriots are going to change everything in their power to make sure they have enough money to pay for Mac Jones? I don't know about that. Joe Burrow is 19th in yards per pass attempt, Kev. That's worse than Cooper Rush. That's worse than Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Mac Jones. And 518-1410, by the way, if you want to jump in on the conversation. Continuing this, he has the 5th most interceptions in the NFL right now, including last night. Joe Burrow has more interceptions than Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston, who are 2 turnover machines. And I know how much you guys hate turnovers because all you did was rip Baker Mayfield when he was in Cleveland. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Your quarterback's doing it. And then he has the 19th highest QBR in football, and he's the 14th highest. He has the 14th highest QB rating in football. Guys, that's a lot of average. That's not Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor called the same plays last year. He had the same offense last year. Joe Burrow is not significant, but he has significantly worse quarterbacks than him, way ahead of him in all of these major statistical categories. Stop blaming Zach Taylor and do what every other person does and put it on the quarterback because I think it's what it comes down to. That's really what it comes out. Joe Burrow, and I think Joe Burrow is a very, very good quarterback. He's just not been very, very good 5 games in. Stop putting it all on Zach Taylor. Stop being lazy and blaming the coaching staff because the same lazy coaching staff took him to a Super Bowl last year. And the coaching staff is doing the same thing that they did last year. The difference is the average play calling from last year is just not being executed correctly like last year with Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase did a lot of chatting, a lot of talking in the offseason. He's quiet now. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. But that's where I'm at with that. So So, and again, right now on Facebook, we'll go to Jake Whiting. Jake Whiting says, all of those quarterbacks have better coaches than Zach Taylor. Stop being lazy, Jake. You're better than that. When Baker struggled in Cleveland, did you say, oh, Baker's struggling, but it's because of the coaches? No, you just said because he stunk. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow stinks, but Joe Burrow has stunk 5 games into the season, at least by your standards, because you guys told me he's Patrick Mahomes, he's Josh Allen. No, he's not. He's not that. You guys, I remember a topic Kevin and I did before the season started. Oh, Joe Burrow, is he elite? Kevin, I said no, but he's close. And you guys lost your minds. He's not elite. He's not elite. William Yelly says, no, it's the coach. They would have been up 4. You got to know who you're playing. Justin Tucker's going to beat you every time. No, because it shouldn't have come down. Like the Bengals put up, what 17 points. You put up 17 points last night. It should not have come down to Justin Tucker. The Ravens finished with 19 points last night. The defense did their job. The offense didn't. You're going to call a critical play call late in the game. That shouldn't have been a critical play call, because on a bad day, the Cincinnati Bengals should still be averaging more than the under 20 points a game that they're averaging right now. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd and Hurst, who's emerged as a big-time go-to guy for Burrow, you shouldn't have 17 points up on the board late in the fourth quarter when you are the Cincinnati Bengals and you have one of the best QBs in the NFL going up against one of the worst secondaries. Stop making excuses for Joe Burrow right now. It's okay to say, yeah, you need to be better. Denver Broncos fans, they're saying, hey, all right, Russell, come on. We expected more out of you. They're not making excuses for Russell Wilson. They're calling Russell Wilson out. That's what you're supposed to do. Stop being a homer and realize that your quarterback is more to blame than the coaching. And by the way, in Denver, they blame the coaching too, but they also call out their quarterback. It's that simple. It's that simple. Stop making excuses. I feel bad that you guys are actually trying to say that Joe Burrow stinks because of his head coach, when last year that same head coach was also the same average head coach last year, and he overcame. So I don't know what you want. 518-1410. Kev, let's get to the phone lines.
Yes, sir. Let's go to Chris, line 1.
Let's go to Chris on line 1. Chris, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Another day in paradise. What's up?
Well, it's Monday. Hey, Justin, I agree but disagree, okay?
Okay.
This team still don't know how to beat Tampa 2. They run the same 3 plays against Tampa 2. They cannot beat it. You get down to the 2-yard line, and much like Stefanski should have done, they didn't run the ball. They ran a damn double reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Stefanski did last year, I'm going against both Ohio teams. 4th and 1, and you're pulling your guard and your tackle instead of doing a quarterback sneak that works over 95% of the time. Okay? There is coaching. Brian Daboll has Danny Dimes 4-1. There's a big cluster of 2 and 3, 3 and 2 teams that are about average, and the difference is coaching. Has Burrow been great? No, he hasn't, but they can't run the ball either. But they could run it last night. Joe Mixon was averaging over 5 yards a carry and only ran the ball 14 times. Who's that on? That's on the coach. He's the one calling the play. It's simple. You go man to man with the Bengals. And if you play man to man against the Bengals, you're getting a back shoulder throw to one of those receivers, and that's the play. If you play man to man or a cover 0 on them, and then when you're not in man to man, you run cover 2, and Zach runs the same 2 or 3 plays.
And you are not wrong on that. And by the way, I hope what I'm saying is now I'm not defending Zach Taylor, because I've never been a Zach Taylor guy. All I'm trying to illustrate here is that Zach Taylor is not the best at his job. I get that, but he wasn't the best at his job last year, but players overcame that. So when Joe Burrow proved he can overcome that, and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon and these guys, and this team is better this year. This team is more experienced this year. This team they went out and spent millions and millions on that offensive line. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, Chris, is it's like one of those things where this is where they're almost being punished for overcoming him last year. You know, if they were bad last year, that would have been on Zach Taylor, but they showed that they could do it with Zach Taylor, him being his average self last year as well. You're not wrong in anything you're saying. I guess all I'm trying to say is it's not fair to say that he is the biggest problem with this team, because he is who he is. The other guys are not being who they are, and that's the problem, in my opinion. A better coach could help this team. I've been calling for Sean Payton for quite some time. Chris, a couple weeks ago, Sean Payton said that he would be interested in coaching again for the right job. Well, I think a job with Joe Burrow would be the most intriguing of all the jobs out there. So we'll see.
He's going to Dallas, Cooper Rush. But let's say this too, Justin. They're 31st in yards per play. They're behind the damn Steelers. They're behind Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky in yards per play. It's terrible. It's bad calls, and you're right. Burrow hasn't been great. He ain't even been good. But a lot of it is on Zach Taylor, so I'll disagree but agree at the same time.
And
Hey,
you know
guys.
what? I'll say the same thing to you. And Chris, thank you, man. I appreciate your call. Thanks. To Chris, I agree. I think me and Chris are agreeing and disagreeing at the same time. I think we're both acknowledging that we see where the other one's coming from, that they are right, but we also think – I'm not saying it's all on Zach Taylor. Or I'm not saying Zach Taylor's good. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get you guys – there's no way you're going to convince me that this is a Zach Taylor only issue. If Andy Reid could be coaching this team right now. Sean Payton could be coaching this team right now. That's not going to change the fact, okay, that Joe Burrow is 16th in completion percentage. That's not going to change the fact that Joe Burrow is 13th in yards per game. That's not going to change the fact that Joe Burrow is 19th in yards per pass attempt, which is worse than Cooper Rush and Marcus Mariota. It's not going to change the fact that he has thrown the 5th most interceptions. You know, hold on. Let me reach back into my bag of excuses for. Maybe he's in too many commercials, Kev? Maybe he's doing too many podcast hits. Maybe he should have just been locked in a basement, just throwing a football all off season. Maybe, you know. And by the way, I know that sounds ridiculous, and I don't think that's it at all. I'm just trying to throw it back in your guys' face. This is payback. You know, I haven't even gotten into my misery from yesterday yet. 518-1410. Kev, who's up?
We got Jesse line 2.
Jesse, how are you, my friend? You might not be my friend right now, but
what's going on, fellas? You all right?
Chilling.
It's nice to have Kev back. I tried to call in Friday, and that was a dumpster fire.
That was a dumpster fire. Yes.
Boy.
I couldn't get through at all. Like, by the time I was trying to get through, I was glad you didn't answer because I didn't forget what the hell I was going to talk about. So I just had to hang up the phone because I got sweaty ear. But before I talk about my Bengals take, I do got to eat a little crow here. I was defending the AFC North last week over the NFC East, and I think that take is probably trending down right now. I might have been a little preemptive on that one. So I'll go ahead and eat the crow. That was the wrong opinion on me right there. But when it comes to the Bengals here, I'm not too hurt about the loss yesterday. The Ravens were coming off home losses that were horrible, and it was on primetime TV. They got trashed by the Bengals twice last year. We kind of knew what we were going to get, and I don't think the Bengals had any way to even be in that game, let alone take the lead with 2 minutes left. I was kind of proud of them for doing that, as much as they got their butts kicked yesterday. So I kind of expected that to happen. So I ain't sweating on Zach Taylor. I ain't sweating on Joe Burrow either. That was a game the Ravens was not going to lose, and that's the way I feel about that.
That's fair, and I think that goes to kind of like, you know, me just kind of looking at the whole thing of, hey, you know, they're going to get every team's best shot this year, especially teams that they beat up on last year. Like the Ravens game, I wanted to pick the Bengals, but there was something about just the way they got beat up last year, and Kev, I'll bring in on this too.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying that they're going to get every team's best shot. I just felt like the Ravens, even if they were, you know, if the Bengals, you know, outplayed them, I still felt the Ravens were going to come out just to what Jesse said. They were just going to will themselves to win because there's no way they were going to let the Bengals punk them for the 3rd straight game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both y'all saying about what the Ravens were able to accomplish last night. You know, not only them getting blown out by the Bengals twice last year, but shoot, they lost 2 home games back to back, and where you were up by 20 in the 4th quarter and then up by 17 in the 4th quarter versus the Bills, and you lost both games. And not only did you lose, you lost them both at home. So they had to get off the schneid. And I mean, shoot, you talk about everything that Harbaugh was dealing with after going for that 4th down against Buffalo and then them driving the length of the field to win it. They had to win that game. I think more of the pressure was on the Ravens to win that game than it was the Bengals.
My last question here is Justin Tucker a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes.
By the way, could you all tell me the last time a kicker got the post-game interview? I mean, if when Tom Brady leads his team down the field to set up a game-winning drive, are they interviewing Vinatieri or whoever their kicker is in Tampa?
Nope.
No, they're interviewing Tom Brady. Last night, Lamar technically led them down the field into field goal range. And who did they interview after the game? Mr. Justin Tucker. So, yes, Jesse, I think he is a future first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Justin Tucker made a podcast out of that interview, too. It was about 15 minutes long. It was fun.
Yep. But hey, Jesse, appreciate hearing from you.
Y'all see you.
518-1410. But yeah, Kev, I thought about that last night. Me and my friends were joking about that. Like, I can't think of the last time. I mean, every week there are kickers, unless you're the Browns, who there's kickers who kick a game-winning field goal, and they don't chase the kicker down the field to hear what they have to say. They bring the quarterback over. Look, Lamar, I know he's better than what he played last night. He did not play well, and yet they still had a chance to win that football game. But nonetheless, that was a strange interview last night. That's for sure.
Yeah, Lamar, what he does exceptionally well in the passing game is the long pass. So to see him miss 2 wide open dudes last night was crazy. And for him to basically be on point in the intermediate throws, where that's quote unquote where he struggles, was basically a flip-flop of how he normally plays. So that was very weird to see. And then obviously them interviewing a Hall of Fame kicker, it was also weird, because you're right. Whenever Tom Brady is interviewed in the post-game press conference, Vinatieri hits a kick in a blizzard, they talk to Tom Brady. Vinatieri hits a game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl, they talk to Tom Brady.
Evan McPherson carried the Bengals to a Super Bowl last year. They talked to Joe Burrow. That's not a hot take. I've been saying that the whole offseason and now. But yes, nonetheless, we'll talk. I think Shaw's on hold. We'll get to him when we get college football in a moment. But who else we got, Kevin?
We got Tyler, line 4.
All right, 518-1410. That's the number to call in. We got Tyler. Tyler, you are up, sir. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Chilling.
All right. Just wanted to say I'm not letting Zach off the hook by any means, but what I really want to know is, can we get Burrow's appendix back?
It exploded on him, man.
I that's the only thing I can think of, right? Like, I don't understand what else it could possibly be.
I mean, let's be clear too. Guys aren't as open as they were last year. I mean, Jamar Chase last night, they kept just showing replays of the way that the Ravens were defending him. I mean, they're hitting him, and they're hitting him early. He's just not as open as he was a year ago. That's really what it comes down to. T. Higgins not being out there has impacted the flow of the offense, because they have 2 number 1 wide receivers, and they are not as good without him, but they still should be very, very efficient. But they're not efficient with all of their weapons right now, so if you take one out, it makes it even worse. Tyler Boyd stepped up and had some big games, but he was quiet last night. I think, I'm being a very aggressive, Tyler, about Joe Burrow, but Joe Mixon, 5 games, not one 100-yard rushing game. I think that's a problem as well, because I thought the offensive line, fixing that, I thought that would protect Joe Burrow, but I thought it would enhance Joe Mixon, who's had some amazing years with the worst offensive lines in Bengals history. I'm shocked by the lack of contributions from him this year.
What I'm really, I guess this might just be a silly notion, but I'm just not seeing Burrow calling things at the line of scrimmage this year either. I'm not seeing him calling audibles. I'm not seeing him.
That's the other thing too, Tyler. Yes, I agree with you. Last year, how many times did they say, "Oh, Joe Burrow, man, he's so great," because he talked about in the post game how that Zach Taylor called this play, and that him and Jamar Chase made eye contact, and they changed the play because they knew they had something. He was always changing plays at the line of scrimmage last year, and you're right, he has not taken that upon himself. He hasn't grown in that factor that we thought he would from one year to the next.
I guess that's something he can improve on, you would think, but I don't know. I'm interested to see how he builds on this going forward. But that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Tyler, appreciate you, man. Thank you. 518-1410, 518-1410. Jake Whiting says, Mixon finally figured it out last night, and Zach Taylor stopped running the ball. Folks, weren't you the one telling me, Joe Burrow's going to eat because it's the worst secondary in football? Do you run the ball against a team with the worst secondary in football? Because you want to know what would happen, Kev? Here's what would happen. Let's say Joe Mixon rushes for 125 last night, and they still lose the ball game. Man, I can't believe they ran the ball this many times when Joe Burrow's back there, and they don't even attempt to throw it this many times. It's the worst secondary in football. You're going to rip coaching no matter what. But y'all need to stop being fanboys and realize that Joe Burrow, he ain't it right now. He ain't doing his job. 217 yards against the worst secondary in football? Oof. Not good. Not good. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Browns are 2-3, Kev. The Bengals are 2-3. The question I put out on social media earlier today, which fan base should be more concerned? The Browns are 2-3. The Bengals are 2-3. They're both in the same spot right now. Which fan base should be more concerned about where their team is right now? at 2-3. We'll talk about that next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, I'm Coach Jim Place, and I'm proud to support Tony Shane for Montgomery County Common Pleas Court Judge. I've known Tony and his wife Annie for a long time. Something that makes Tony and the great Annie so special is they
of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Make the big game sound even bigger with your new TV and sound system from Audio Etc. There is nothing better than a home theater or high-fidelity music system from Audio Etc. 4K is amazing, but just imagine the 8K experience. Come to Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom today and experience 8K TVs and projectors, short throw projectors from 100-inch to 130-inch, all the way to your high-end dream system. Audio Etc has tons of new inventory in stock, while everybody else is back-ordered or out of stock. Get special deals on a TV and your dream system today. Audio Etc can bring any big game home. It's better than being there. You have to see it to believe the incredible quality of the picture and sound. If you can't afford your dream system, check out our huge selection of vintage and pre-owned components. Audio Etc, powered by Klipsch, Bowers & Wilkins, SVS, Marantz, Denon, Sony, and a whole list of high-performance brands that you've probably never heard of. 551 Congress Park Drive in Centerville.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Have you heard? $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring Class A CDL drivers for home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight with brand new equipment, and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, company 401k. Plus, they're now hiring recent truck driving school graduates. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. I'd like to invite you to my new series called Connecting with the Community. On the third Tuesday of each month, I will be hosting a monthly discussion where citizens can come and learn more about different areas of local government. Connecting with the Community will be held at the new Employment Opportunity Center in the Westtown Shopping Center on West 3rd Street.
On Tuesday, October 18th at 6 p.m., Montgomery County Recorder Brandon McLean invites all veterans to come get your Veterans ID card.
Brought to you by Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
experts. The new Google Pixel 7 Pro is super, especially when it's on Verizon, the network America relies on. It's supercharged, super powered, and a super
deal.
You know it. Now, switch to Verizon and get the Google Pixel 7 Pro on us with select trade-ins and select 5G unlimited plans.
That really is super.
Yep, there's never been a better time to switch to Verizon. $899.99 device payment purchase with new smartphone line on select 5G unlimited plans required. $200 Verizon e-gift card with ported. Less $700 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. 0% APR. Trade-in conditions and additional terms apply.
What did 9 out of 10 people who died from COVID have in common?
They were 50 or older.
And if you have a condition like heart disease or diabetes, your risk is even higher.
COVID vaccines lower the risk of death.
Get your updated vaccine now. It could save your life.
We can do this. Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. WWE superstar Kevin Owens was supposed to be on today's show. He has moved to later in the week. Sorry, we are working out a time for later in the week. He had some travel issues, so we will get Kevin Owens back. WWE is going to be live in Dayton at the Nutter Center on October 22nd, and we have tickets will be given away, and I'll have more information on how you can win a pair of tickets to watch WWE live on October 22nd at the Nutter Center. You get to see Ronda Rousey, obviously Kevin Owens, and some other big stars, so we'll talk about that later on as well and tell you how you have a chance to win those. See a lot of feedback coming in the chat section, even on the post from earlier today. I haven't checked Twitter in a while to see what the updated percentage was, Kev. It's funny how the reactions on Twitter and Facebook are completely different when it comes to stuff like this. So it's just one of those things. Like, so asking about which team team should act like you've done a sports talk radio show before, Kenner. Which team's fan base should be more concerned about their 2-3 start? And we're going to talk about that to open up the hour 2 coming up at 4:00. But it's funny, the different percentages. So on Twitter, 56% say the Browns fans should be more concerned about their team. And then on Facebook, it's all Bengals. In fact, it's at the point where one woman got mad at me for saying, why would you ask a question that you knew would just be all Bengals? Or maybe that's why you did it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, actually, no, I think that both fan bases have reasons to be concerned. Now, I did put in there, you're not allowed to say both. Of course, both have reason to be concerned. That's why I phrased the question the way I did, but you can't say both. Which one should be more concerned? So be thinking about that. But did you get a chance to watch the Browns game yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Sorry about that. No, but the Browns, it was my first Browns game. Going to First Energy Stadium yesterday. Pretty cool. Some friends of ours got us some tickets, and we had a great time. We spent the weekend in Cleveland. Had a great time. Tailgated before, but they lose 30-28. And a lot of, there's a good chunk of the fan base that's doing a lot of what Bengals fans are doing, where they're blaming the head coach. And again, I don't think Kevin Stefanski is a top 5 head coach in the National Football League, but I don't think he's in the top 5 reasons of why the Browns are 2-3 right now either. I think that the Browns are 2-3 right now because of a coach, and it's not the head coach, it's Joe Woods. This defense should not be as bad as what they are. It's embarrassing. That was the worst running team in football yesterday that ran the ball right down their throat. We watched the Steelers, a couple weeks ago. They didn't do terrible against them, but the Falcons the week before, literally ran the ball 170 total yards rushing in the second half. And I said, well, they get Myles Garrett back and they get Jadeveon Clowney back in the defensive line. I picked them to beat the Chargers. They did better against the run, but they still let Eckler just run all over them. I mean, it was pathetic. The defense, every pass attempt, and by the way, Herbert didn't torch him, but every time Herbert completed a pass yesterday, guys wide open. And then the defense always reacts to who has the ball instead of taking angles away and preventing guys from getting the ball. This has been an argument for the last 2 years. The bells and whistles of Baker Mayfield and the offense, with everything, the storylines that surrounded them then, everyone focused on the struggles there. But we all ignored the problems on the defense, all while we're paying Denzel Ward. And by all these guys are deserving of their money. Obviously, Myles Garrett. And I like that they brought Jadeveon Clowney back. They made a trade for the Falcons linebacker. We'll talk about what that means. I don't think it means a whole hell of a lot, but it definitely can't hurt right now. I do like the addition, but I don't know if it stops the bleeding at this point. The Browns defense is the problem, Kev, not the offense. In fact, the offense is why I thought they would lose games. Coming in, they were graded as one of the worst. They had one of the worst weapons group in the NFL. They had no wide receivers. Amari Cooper's solid, but they don't have depth at wide receiver. Jacoby Brissett making horrible decisions in clutch time. But for 3.5 quarters a game, he's actually a very, very freaking good quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He made very good throws yesterday. I was sitting back, I'm like, he's not, I don't want him over Deshaun Watson by any means, but he is definitely not as bad as I thought coming into this season. He's better than Baker Mayfield for 3.5 quarters, and then he becomes Baker Mayfield. All 3 losses for the Browns have ended, even though yesterday's loss extended to a missed kick from their kicker, of course, and Cade York. But all 3 of the losses have basically ended with the offense throwing an interception. Yeah. But for 3.5 quarters, every game, Jacoby Brissett has been really, really good. I'm shocked at how good he has been for the Cleveland Browns because they have the 5th most efficient offense in football. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? There's always scoring in the upper 20s and 30s. I'm like, they shouldn't be doing this. That's why I'm laughing at how many people are ripping Kevin Stefanski. Joe Woods is the problem. Kevin Stefanski's not perfect, but Kevin Stefanski with the play calling, with the offense right now, he has one of the worst weapons group in football as far as skill position players go with wide receivers. They are a run-first offense and yet still are able to get enough out of the pass game to make them dangerous with the limited weapons that they have. I'm beyond impressed that Kevin Stefanski has this offense rolling the way that they are. He's not a top 5 coach. I'm not saying that he's perfect, but I am amazed at how, and he does make questionable play calls from time to time, but I am amazed at how this offense is still a top 5 offense in football from scoring, from total yards, from efficiency. They just are. It's Jacoby Brissett is just very, very bad in these clutch situations. If he is just an okay clutch quarterback, not even a great one, just an okay one, this team's probably 5-0, but they're not. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. I realize how stupid that sounded. I was in the moment last week. My apologies. They lost yesterday's game because Jacoby Brissett threw a bad interception late, but the defense was just god-awful. It is what it stinks. But, the Cleveland Browns right now, I don't know how to feel about them. It's like I'm so excited that the offense looks as good as they do with Jacoby Brissett because imagine how much more better they're going to look when they get Deshaun Watson. But then I'm like, even with the top 5 efficient offense in football, they're still losing games, and it's because of the defense, and that's my concern. You have Denzel Ward, you have Myles Garrett, you have Jadeveon Clowney, and they're still just letting teams run the ball right down their throat. I'm concerned about the Browns, but I'm amazed at how many people keep putting it on the head coach. It's not Stefanski. It's this defense. And maybe the Stefanski's problem, Kev, is he keeps letting Joe Woods and this defense continue each week. Joe Woods has to go. This defense needs a shakeup, and they need it bad.
The reason people blame the head coach is because they are the head coach. It's the same reason why people are blaming Mike Tomlin for the way the offense looks. The same reason people are blaming Coach Stefanski for the way the defense looks. They are the head coach. I don't care that if their offense is clicking on all cylinders or the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is top 2 in takeaways in the NFL. You're the head guy in charge. So you get the brunt of the anger when things don't go their way, and especially when it goes as badly as it gone for the Browns on defense and badly as it goes for the Pittsburgh Steelers on offense. The thing I will push back on the defense is this. Good old coach from San Diego Chargers. For the first time in
I was a fan of his yesterday. Let's just be clear. They're going for it on 4th and 2 at the 40. This is awesome.
Lordy. For the one time in my life, I was rooting for the Browns to win because I desperately want him gone from the San Diego Chargers.
Always a flyer.
Because that is got to be one of the craziest, dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. The Browns have no timeouts. And if you punt it and just say it goes in the end zone and they get it at the 20, they still got to drive about 60, 65 yards to even get in field goal range as opposed to going 15 yards to get in field goal range. Luckily for the Chargers, the Browns kicker missed it. But for that point, I will give the Browns defense credit here. I will give them credit for when they decided to go for it in the first quarter, the Browns, that is, on their own side of the field. I want to say they went for it from like the 40. The Browns defense held them to a field goal. For the 70-plus yard run that Eckler had, held him to a field goal. And on that third down, Myles Garrett actually made a play for the first time it seems like his days at Texas A&M. He made a tackle of Eckler, which forced him to go for it on fourth down. So I'll give them a lot of credit there. They bowed up in spots where they needed to bow up. No, the tackling wasn't good, but holding that offense to 3 points is a success, especially when that coach loves to go for it on fourth down. And for him to go for it on fourth down right there is just completely laughable. And I know you talk about the coaching situation with I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Stefanski?
No.
Which team? Just tell me which team. Joe Woods.
Saints old coach. Saints old coach.
Yeah, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton going to the Bengals. He's got to be thinking, I'll go into the Chargers because this dude's going to get fired long before anybody in Cincinnati, because these things are going to come back to bite you in the butt, man. Like, I can't believe that he did that. The Browns had no timeouts. This ain't college football where the clock stops when you get a first down. The clock just keeps ticking away. So the Browns, they have a lot there. And something I was talking to my grandmother about, she's a huge Cleveland Browns fan. And when Myles Garrett made that play, she jumped up for joy. She's like, I don't remember him having to tackle all day. I was like, oh, sure he has, Grandma. I looked. That was his second tackle of the day.
They didn't get to Herbert once.
They weren't getting pressure on him. And I mean, at some point, all this money and stuff that guys make, and we talk about, oh man, it's Clowney, it's Myles Garrett, it's Denzel Ward. At some point, these just become popular names, because if you're not making plays to go with your name, you're no longer that player. Like, people are ragging on Jalen Ramsey for getting toasted a lot this season. He still has made plays this season. Obviously, he's hurt right now, TJ Watt, but shoot, when he was on the field for that first game against the season versus the Bengals, he was making a tons of plays. Mika Fitzpatrick making tons of plays. Aaron Donald making plays. You still have to be a playmaker in a league where it's set up for the offense to have as many chances to score and score a ton of points. It is your responsibility as a defensive player to make plays, and they're just not making plays. They're just not making plays. They're not intercepting the ball. They're not forcing any fumbles. They're not getting any sacks. It is like, hey, man, we're just going to go up and down the field. So the Browns, whatever the case may be, they got to do a lot of soul searching, because Joe Woods, yeah, he's the DC, but like you were talking about with the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow looking himself in the mirror and saying like, hey, man, I have to play better. Those guys on defense have to play a lot better. I'm not sure how much Joe Woods has to do with, hey, man, tackle him. Put him on the ground. Like, if a coach, if you can't tackle in high school, that's the head coach's fault. If you can't tackle in college, that's the coach's fault. In the NFL, I mean, that's a prerequisite, right, to be on defense. So I think there's a lot to blame go around on the Brown side on the defense, but some of that as well has to do with the players. Like, dude, like you say all the time, is Myles Garrett, is Denzel Ward, is Jadeveon Clowney. When are y'all going to start playing like that? When are y'all going to start playing like the guys that we buy the jerseys for? Because everybody in the NFL don't get their jersey made. They're playing like dudes that don't have their jerseys made.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410, 518-1410. And no calls are coming in. We're going to get to your calls on the other side. But that's what I want to talk about now. We talked about, of course, the Browns. We've talked about the Cincinnati Bengals and their struggles. So now we got to talk about which fan base should be the most concerned. 518-1410. Browns fans, your team's 2-3. The Bengals fans, your team's 2-3. Which fan base should be more concerned? 518-1410. That's what we'll talk about when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooh, ma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and known for guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
If you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code
beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Freakers.
So many people here are getting real lasting joint pain relief from QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I would recommend QC to anybody.
The work that QC Kinetics did paid off exponentially.
It brought me back to an effective age of almost in my 20s and 30s.
QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologics from your own body, precision treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your aching joints, with no meds, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
I got a very quick resolution to my pain.
It is a all-natural therapy. You're using you to fix you.
I got my life back. I got my smile back. And best of all, I got my laugh back.
Don't live with that pain anymore. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Learn more about regenerative options from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Want to make tonight's dinner a true winner? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 12-piece family meal at a great price. You'll get 12 pieces of our classic Famous Recipe Chicken that's honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and pressure-cooked just right, along with 3 of our large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. This is temptation times 12. Get the family meal that's big on flavor and on value with the 12-piece family meal. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev, your camera, just FYI. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We're also live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. The Justin Kinder Show on Facebook, ESPN Dayton's Facebook page, as well as the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel, at ESPN Dayton on Twitter as well. Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Plus, when you sign up today using my promo code KINNER, KINNER, you'll be all set for when FanDuel goes live in Ohio starting in January. Then you can bet on all of your favorite teams and all of your favorite sports with $100 in free bets. All you got to do is just go and download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, it's super easy to use. Come on, Dayton. This is your chance to get in on the action. Join today using my promo code KINNER, KINNER. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, we welcome you back again. The Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 Wing AM. Use that promo code KINNER, KINNER. For those of you who have not downloaded that FanDuel app, do so now and register so that right when you could start placing bets in January, you'll already have $100 in free bets waiting for you in that account. So please take advantage of that. Use promo code KINNER, KINNER. All right, Justin Kinder, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 Wing AM. Get to the phone lines in just a moment, but Kev and I can have a discussion about the fan bases for both the Browns and the Bengals, Kev. Both fan bases, fans of teams right now at 2-3. Both teams have, 2 wins, obviously, but both teams have 3 losses that very easily could be wins. All right, the Browns losing to the Jets the way that they did. That should have been a win, a double-digit lead with 90 seconds left. They lost that. All right, they should have beat the Falcons, a team that rushed for 170 yards in the second half on the ground, and yet they still had a chance to win in the second half. An interception by Jacoby Brissett. That should have been a Browns win. And then yesterday, a chance to win because to be fair, the Chargers gave them a chance to win that game and they didn't capitalize. When I saw that they were going for it, when they brought those guys back out on the 4th down, I'm like, they're just going to try to go for the hard counts and get them to jump off sides. And then as the play clock continued to tick down, then they went out of the shotgun, which also threw me off too. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's strange to me, but we don't need to talk about Staley right now, but I was so jacked. And then when they got the stop, that place erupted. It was insane. And then we all jumped around. We thought he made it. Half the stadium thought he made it. I thought he made it. I got so jacked. I had it on Snapchat. I put it on my Facebook page. I was like, oh no, why? I was like, my first Browns game, I thought it was going to be a game winner. Oh man, it was very disappointing. But then you got the Bengals, Kev. They easily could be 5-0 as well, as bad as things are. And they could easily be 5-0, and that's with Joe Burrow being right there in the middle. He's an average quarterback right now. I think his ceiling's really high. I think he's better than what he's playing this year. But right now, he's not very good. He's very average at best right now. Even with an average Joe Burrow and a very average non-explosive offense right now, an offense that has not produced a 100-yard rusher 5 games into the season, they easily could be 5-0 right now with all of that. But here we are, both teams 2-3. Which fan base should be more concerned about the upcoming stretch of games, Kev? As you know, we know how tight the AFC is going to be. What's your thoughts on which fan base should be more concerned?
The Cincinnati Bengals, because they have 2 losses in the division. They lost to the Steelers week 1, and they just lost to the Ravens. So
it's a different reason that I have not heard yet. I like that.
So they're behind. They're behind the 8 ball, and the Browns have a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. So just off that math alone, I would be more worried if I was as a Cincinnati Bengals fan.
For me, it's also the Cincinnati Bengals, just for a lot of reasons. And those reasons are, this is the same group that went to the Super Bowl last year. And you're pretty much healthy. I know T. Higgins has been out, but you have this offensive line that you spent a ton of money on. And I think that the fans felt the confidence, too, of coming into this year and picking up where they left off. And the fans feel defeated right now and frustrated. How do you think they feel? I think Joe Burrow is not the same Joe Burrow when he's not that confident Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has a swag to him. Joe Burrow has a confidence and a cockiness to him. He has a certain edge to him. And when they're not winning and he's not playing at a high level, he kind of loses that swag a little bit. The team loses that swag. This offense, I think teams want to fear them, but as each week goes on, they're not scary. Like we know what they did last year, but they have not shown signs of that this year. Their 2 wins are over bad teams. They beat the Jets. All right, you beat the Jets. I'm not impressed with what the Bengals have done so far to start this season. I'm not impressed with the offense. I'm concerned because I don't know other than the fact that they can get better. I just don't know where they're going to get better at. If it really is the play calling, does Zach Taylor just start calling better plays? I don't know. But I'd be very concerned right now because they have all the weapons in the world and they're still not playing at a high level. And this isn't they didn't get a lot of time to practice. They played a whole season together last year. They played extra games, more games than they've ever played in the last 30 years because they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear, they need to be eased into the season. Maybe, but I'm very concerned if I'm the Bengals. But here's why I want to roll out with the Browns, Kev. As much the Bengals concern me, I think that any week they could flip that switch and be the Bengals again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reasons to be concerned if I'm the Bengals. I'm going to roll with the Browns because I thought at 2-3, oh man, if they could just weather the storm to get Deshaun Watson back, they'll be fine. But I know they can get better with Deshaun Watson, but they're a top 5 offense right now and they're losing games. And that's because of that defense. And unless Deshaun Watson comes in to play linebacker and he's getting to the quarterback and he's deflecting passes and he's getting interceptions and he's sacking the quarterback, and I don't know how much better this Browns team is going to get. This is a team averaging close to 30 points a game. This is not a team that you get Deshaun who's going to make their offense more lethal. I get that, but are they going to average 40 a game to overcome the 30 a game that they're giving up? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like it's more concerning to be a Browns fan right now because you could drop Deshaun in this offense this week, but that offense is still giving up large chunks on the ground. They're not getting stops. They're not creating turnovers. They're not getting to the quarterback, and you have Myles Garrett. To me, I think it's very concerning that the whole reason I thought the Browns would not make the playoffs this year was going to be the offense, when really the offense is why they even have a shot to maybe contend for this division now, and it's the defense that's going to hold them back. That's why I kind of want to roll with the Browns. But the Bengals, don't be patting your back because you have a lot of issues that they have to figure out as well. But I'm going to say the Browns because you get Deshaun Watson back this week. If that's the case, if they had him back this week, I'm not convinced. Let's just say they had him from week 1. I'm not convinced that they don't have that drastically different of a record. Maybe they don't lose to the Jets. But I think they have one more win right now with Deshaun Watson, but I still think they're losing games because of defense, not offense. I know it's coming down to Jacoby Brissett throwing picks at the end of the game, but it shouldn't have to come down. When you're averaging 30 a game, it shouldn't have to come down to you having to have a game-winning drive when you're putting 30 points up on the board. That's my concern. I think it's the Browns, to be honest with you.
If you drop in a player like Deshaun Watson, you expect the offense to be more efficient. And I mean, I know it's like top 5 in yards and points and everything like that, but the small things like third downs and converting those third downs and keeping the ball is complementary football. One thing I definitely learned from watching, especially the Pittsburgh Steelers the last couple of years where the offense has gone in the toilet, people talk about, all this defense isn't as lethal as it once was. Well, when you're on the field all the time, when one team is running 60 plays and your offense is running like 25 plays, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do at all. You only are human. You're going to get tired. So I think if the Browns offense is more efficient, more explosive with Deshaun Watson, that keeps the defense off the field a lot more. And obviously that's a big if because Deshaun Watson, he's not coming back this week. He's not coming back next week. He's not coming back to week 12?
Week 13.
Week 13.
Week and week 12. But yeah.
So he's not coming back till then. So then you also got to talk about the rust factor that he would be dealing with too. So it's a tough call. It's definitely a tough call for the Cleveland Browns. But for me, it's just a sense from just that standpoint alone. You've already lost 2 division games. So now you definitely have to beat the Steelers in the upcoming game, and you definitely have to beat Baltimore in the upcoming game just to have a split with them.
See, you swayed me on that because I'm like, well, any week now the Bengals could flip that switch. Like, I do think it might be a mental funk that at any time they flip that switch. They just need that game where it all comes together. And I think they can't. People thought that against the Jets, but I'm like, yeah, but it was still the Jets. You know what I mean? Like, I still think that's one thing they haven't they need to beat a good team. And last night, I feel like last night, Kev, they felt like last night was going to be that coming out game. We're like, okay, we're back, guys. Don't worry. I think last night just created more concerns. And by the way, even if the Bengals would have won last night, I still would be talking about them the way I am now because they didn't play good football. Let's just say Justin Tucker, for whatever reason, would have missed that wide right or they got it blocked. Bengals fans might be chirping today, but I would have shut everyone up because I would have brought up every point that I did today saying, I don't know what you could be happy that you won, but I wouldn't be happy about where they are at right now efficiency-wise because they don't look good. So, but you are right. Yes, they've created a big hole for themselves because 2 of their first 3 losses have come in the division. That's a problem. The Browns They already have a division win and no losses in that division, but they got the Ravens coming up around the corner. The Bengals not too far off in the distance as well. So their time's coming, but that sets up big game. The Browns-Bengals was already big. It's even bigger now when we get to that here in a few weeks.
As a Browns fan, how long ago does it feel like K. York hit that game winner in week 1?
Well, it seems like ages ago, especially after yesterday's game. Because I remember how happy we all were. Was it like a 58-yard field goal or something crazy, 56 or 58 or something along those lines? The Bengals, McPherson, pretty good. I like McPherson, but McPherson, I thought he missed that damn extra point to take a 17-16 lead when they scored that touchdown. That went right over. I didn't realize that rule that, if it goes over directly over the bar, it's good. But man, it was this close from looking just like Cade York earlier in the day that on an extra point. This comes from Matt on YouTube, Kev. He goes, I think it's Cincy. They had higher expectations and have looked bad. And like Kev said, they are 2-0 in the division. I think that Halloween game will be huge for both the Browns and the Bengals. Absolutely, Matt. I can't wait. Brian says the Bengals could be 5-0 and they still wouldn't pass the look test. Brian, I know me and you go back and forth about your team. Yes, I agree. But that's why the Eagles, when people put out their power rankings, not a lot of people even have the undefeated Eagle. Being undefeated, there's something to be said about that. But not a lot of people have the Eagles as their number one team either. And a lot of that is because Jalen Hurts looks solid, but he doesn't look elite, right? He looks, I'd say he's above solid. He's pretty good. I like him, but he doesn't look like the Josh Allens yet. He'll get there possibly if he is that guy. But if the Bengals were 5-0, Kev, let's say they win all of those, the 3 one-possession losses. Let's say they are 5-0. I'm not even sure how high up they are on power rankings because they just haven't looked good doing it. So to Brian's point, yes, Bengals could be 5-0 and they still wouldn't pass the look test. That's why I'm like, right now, records don't always matter, but you'd rather be on the winning side of not looking your best as opposed to losing games because you're not looking your best.
Right.
It really shouldn't come down to coaching late in games. I know people are piling on Zach Taylor, Kev, but we shouldn't be talking about these clutch plays late in games. Your defense held the Ravens to 19 points last night, 16 technically because the game-winning field goal at the end. You shouldn't be struggling to beat a team when you hold them to 16, 19 points. Not when you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and these guys. Same thing. You know what I mean? I guess that's where I'm coming from. With the way the defense is played, even though they haven't played the most elite teams, they shouldn't be in these tight games to begin with, and they're in these tight games because the offense is not doing what they're supposed to. But, yes, I understand where you're coming from. Those 2 division losses are key. 518-1410, 518-1410. Kev, where do you want to go? Who do we got?
Let's go to line 1 with Dustin.
Dustin, thanks for holding, sir. Welcome.
Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, I wanted to talk about what you were saying before the break about the Browns defense.
Yep.
I kind of went back and looked. And the only big difference last year when they were a good defense was the 2 Maliks at defensive tackle.
Yeah, I mean, well, real quick, it's funny. Last year, every Browns fan, most of us thought that, man, they're not a good defensive team, but they gave up the least amount of yards, they gave up the least amount of points than any other team in the AFC North last year. But they're a very deceiving team because they look hideous defensively, but sometimes statistically, they always come out looking pretty solid.
So I went
Not
back
this
and
year,
looked. So I went back and looked and was actually watching some film. Justin, these defensive tackles are getting pushed back 5 to 8 yards every play.
That's why they're not even getting touched.
Lap.
It's bad.
I mean, 5 to 8 yards, and then people are wondering why they're running so good. These linebackers don't even have a chance to make a play because they got a 300-pound, 6'4" defensive tackle sitting in their lap. It's that bad. It's I do think Deion Jones is going to help just because Jacob Phillips is just terrible. But if they don't do something about the defensive tackles, the Patriots are going to kill them. They're going to run down their throats.
Yeah, you saw what they did against the Lions. How the hell with a 3rd-string quarterback? And I know this is an offensive player. I know it sounds funny, but I didn't think the Patriots. I picked the Lions to win that, and not only did they win that, they shut them out and dominated with a 3rd-string quarterback. But you're right; they're starting to know who they're acknowledging who they are and what their identity is, and they're in typical Belichick. They're mastering it. A week ago, I was not as concerned about this Patriots matchup, and then I watched how fluid they were yesterday. I'm like, well, damn, I thought we could, be a little bit more excited about this matchup. But man, there's just something about Bill Belichick teams against a weak coaching staff right now. The Browns could be in trouble. I think they're a 3-point favorite though, as we sit here right now.
Yeah. Well, and last point, the reason I bring all that up is, don't get me wrong, I'd rather have a Mike Zimmer or a Jim Schwartz as defensive coordinator, but there's nothing you can do as Joe Woods when your defensive tackles can't get off the ball.
Yep.
You can't do anything. So that's what they got to do. I think they got to address this defensive tackle now.
I agree. I hope they do. But hey, man, I appreciate the call, Dustin. Thank you. Oh, Dustin, real quick. Browns fans, Bengals fans, which fan base should be more concerned about their 2-3 start?
Bengals. They just went to the Super Bowl. They can't blame it on injuries. The Browns have been playing with a backup quarterback.
All right. Fair enough.
And then to Kevin's point, the Bengals are 0-2 in the division. The Browns possibly could still control their whole thing when Watson gets back. Because what do they got? 4 or 5 division games when he's in there?
Yeah, and it's all coming in the back half of the season. And I think they have one with the Ravens and Bengals coming up. Already 1-0 against the Steelers. So, yeah, the majority of the back half of the AFC North schedule comes with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and the Bengals, still play the Chiefs, which the rest of the division doesn't. They still got the Bills and
Chiefs,
all that.
Bills, and Bucks, man. It's gonna and the Bengals get that in the home stretch of the season. That's what's tough. But Dustin, thank you, man.
Hey, thanks.
518-1410. Another thing to be concerned about if I'm the Bengals first half of the season, they were supposed to be rolling because this is the easy part of the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
If the Bengals find themselves back in the division race or a wild card race in the second half of the season, within the final 6 weeks, you got the Bills, you got the Buccaneers, you got the Ravens again, you have the Browns, and I know I missed it, and the Chiefs. So in the 5 of the last 8 come against those teams, and you're already 2-3, 5 games in. The Bengals, man, I said the Browns, but now I don't know. Both are you're 2-3 right now, and you're 2-3 because of your deficiencies. The deficiencies are what have both fan bases pretty nervous right now. Which fan base should be more concerned? 518-1410, the 2-3 Browns fan base or the 2-3 Bengals fan base? Which fan base should be more concerned about their team start right now? Kev, where are we going now?
Line forward, Rob.
All right, Rob, welcome in, sir. How are you? Rob A.
Let's go to line 2, Packers fan Tim.
Packers fan Tim, how are you? It's been a while.
Hey, I'm going to argue with you a little bit, and that is
Tim.
First of all,
I'm just joking.
I do blame Stefanski for that loss. The first time I get to watch the Bengals and the Browns, my team got beat early in the morning, and so I'm going to find somebody to cheer for. Go Ohio.
Right,
I couldn't believe they had a chance to win that game. Why did Stefanski have Brissett throw that pass into the end zone?
Well, keep in mind,
are you trying to get intercepted again? You have Nick Chubb. You've got the incredible offensive line. Worst thing you're going to do is run up the middle and get stopped for no yardage. Why not make that field goal shorter? That is all you need to win the game. You have to have 5 or 6 or 15 running plays that are going to get you 3 or 4 yards. Chubb's averaging, 6 yards a carry? Give it to him twice and get that ball up there another 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 yards. Maybe get a first down, and then give your kicker a good chance. I was just shocked. I thought, what in the hell is going on with that play calling? That was bizarre. So it had nothing to, I'm not blaming you about your defense. I probably would agree with that. I don't follow them enough about your coordinator, but that was in Stefanski's hands. The Browns could be 5-0. They should be 4-1. Maybe they won't get all 3 of those. They should have gotten yesterday's. But I put that on your head coach, who's ever calling the offensive plays. Give your kicker a chance. To me, there's Jacoby Brissett throwing the end zone. He's not Patrick Mahomes. You got Nick Chubb. You've got Batoni and those guys. Man, worst case, like you said, you're going to be no worse off than 2 incomplete passes.
Or he could have just ran it into the end zone. It really looked like that play that from the NFC Championship game with Aaron Rodgers, where
you gotta do that to our guy Tim.
I'm just saying, he can relate to it. He can relate to it.
The guy while he's down.
He can relate to it. Everybody was banging on Aaron Rodgers for not running it and everything like that. That's what that play looked like. And like I said, I told everybody, I went home to visit family, and I'm watching the game with my grandmother, and she's screaming to the heavens, "Run, just run, just run!" And he throws it, and you're watching a 91-year-old woman get all extra hype about football. Trust me, I was worried.
Exactly. What do you think Brissett's more likely to do? Throw an interception or fumble?
Well, to be fair, actually, no, it's not to be fair. I'm just going to tell you, you are right. Stefanski is not perfect with the play calling. I know Browns fans are upset that in the last 2 minutes, there wasn't one carry by Nick Chubb, but keep in mind they were down. And before that, Brissett, he was playing perfect football until that moment. That's not a good excuse. All I'm saying, he had played perfect football to that point. I think they were trying to pick up as many yards as they could. It was that weird time. You don't want to kick a field goal on third down, but you also, I think everyone around me that I was sitting with, everyone was like, oh man, it's a weird time left. What do you do? I think it wasn't a terrible play call. And I think if Brissett just doesn't throw it and just throws it away or runs out of bounds, I don't think we're having this question about that play call. I think that was more on Brissett, in my opinion. I'm not saying it was the greatest play card decision. They could have just handed it off and, you know what I mean, just killed that down or whatever. But Brissett should not have thrown that.
Closer. Get it closer.
Yep.
What's your best chance of gaining some yardage? Giving the ball to Nick Chubb and letting that big-time offensive line block some people out of the way. But anyways, great show. And I think the Bengals, I'd be more concerned because of the division losses. And I think they're pretty healthy. That's what bothers me about the Packers. Yeah. The Packers are healthy. They had everybody on offense and defense, and that scares me. So I'd be a little bit more worried if I was a Bengals fan than a Browns fan. All right, guys.
Appreciate you, Tim. Thank you, man. 518-1410. No, it's fair. And you know what? I will say this about Tim's point on that. Even though Brissett was playing very good football for 3.5 quarters, 3 and 3/4 basically, it's one of those things where the two losses prior to yesterday came with him throwing an interception.
Right.
Why gamble while you're ahead? Why? You know what I mean? Just take your winnings and go home. They should have just handed it off to Chubb, let him pick up 3 or 4 more yards, move that field goal in closer, and then they would have been fine. Here's the other problem with that too. I also felt that there was just so much time that I had looked at my wife. I said, I don't know why I'm not as excited as everyone around me, because here's what the Browns are going to do. They're going to come down, kick the field goal, take the lead, and then there's 2 minutes left, and you're kicking the ball back to Justin Herbert, and they just march down the field and win it. I was surprised it was because of Staley. Horrible coaching on his part. I think Stefanski can't be the guy we're talking about coaching-wise. Staley got bailed out. We got bailed out by a missed field goal, basically.
Yes.
But, yeah. A lot of mistakes on both teams. I'm not being a Browns homer here, but it is what it is.
Which kind of made me weird that he went for it on that 4th down to try to ice the game, where he's kicked the field goals multiple times inside the red zone earlier in the game. So, I was on the verge of texting everybody, including yourself, to say, it looks like he's turned the corner. Looks like he's taking the points, being smart with the ball, until he wasn't.
He was great yesterday. It was weird. I was like, I like him. I was like, I talked so much trash about this dude before the season. And I'm like, he's making good throws. He doesn't force anything. He makes the good throws, and he throws it away when he's supposed to. He runs out of bounds when he's supposed to. And then he did that, Kev. It was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
It happens. We got Deb on line 1.
Deb on line 1. Deb, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Not too bad.
Good. Hey, I'm glad you finally got to go to your Browns game. That's awesome.
I got the full experience, right? Like I got the tailgating, the great fans, and then the typical Browns finish. It was the complete package.
There you go. I know you were so happy you were probably about to wet yourself, right?
I don't know. I'd been drinking a lot, and I think I was annoying the people around me because I kept getting up to go use the bathroom. I was that guy. So.
Oh, well, they got a taste of what we get, right?
There you go. So.
All right. Hey, listen, as far as who would be more concerned, as far as I'm concerned, it's the Bengals. As far as the Browns, you guys came into the season, you knew that you weren't going to have Watson for a while, okay? Mm-hmm. So expectations were somewhat kind of patted down a little bit as far as I see it. You kind of just go with what you can go with, but I agree with you about yesterday's game. It was right there. You guys really could have had it. As far as the Bengals, I'll tell you what, I was probably about ready to pull every hair out of my head last night. I could not understand the play calls, especially, you get down to so close to being able to score. You should have done more than a shovel pass. Come on, that's ridiculous. And the play calls down there were elementary school play calls. I'm sorry, but they were horrible. Absolutely horrible. They needed to be more inventive down there. Do the things that get you where you go. That was a decent drive going down the field, and then that happened. It was just like, we're going to get it down here to within the 10-yard line, and we're just going to clam up. We're just going to not play football.
And they have the weapons,
better than that.
And they could be creative too. They could be so creative. I think as a whole, we see how creative McVay is. We see how creative Shanahan is. And Shanahan does not have the offensive firepower that the Bengals do. McVay, as good as they just won the Super Bowl. Their offense isn't as explosive as this Bengals team. Zach Taylor should be just coaching circles around teams with the weapons that he has, and he is not. Imagine Sean McVay with this weaponry. Imagine, Shanahan. I think you would see a lot different play calls in those situations. So that I will definitely give you, because there's no excuse. It's not like they have a second, a backup quarterback or Jimmy Garoppolo or banged up Stafford. They have too many weapons to be so blah in the play calling. I will agree with you on that.
Totally agree with everything you just said. And it's the main reason I was ready to pull out all my hair is exactly what you just said, because of all the weapons. And it's like, all of a sudden we have thrown out everything that we accomplished last year and gone back to playing stupid. I mean, it's just, it's frustrating as you know what, because there's no reason to have the weapons that you have. I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow. I don't know if he's concentrating on what outfit he's going to wear the next week so that he gets the attention that he gets, or, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like he's kind of not into it. And part of me blames the O-line a little bit, but at the same time, it takes time to gel an O-line. Okay. But at the same time, these are professionals that have experience, so they should be able to figure it out and gel. This is week 5, week 6, going into week 6.
Yep.
They should be gelling already.
And I think the O-line is gelling. I mean, he's been protected. Remember, that O-line was pieced together with the main goal of protecting Joe Burrow. And technically, they've protected him over the last 3 weeks. But protecting Joe Burrow should have come with, oh, man, if they just give him time to throw, look out. Well, has a little bit more time to throw, which is all he should have needed. But I think the run game, not having the run game to rely on really hurts. That's been the other problem, too, that I don't think is getting enough attention. 5 games into the season, and they've yet to get a 100-yard rusher. That's a problem.
Right. Yeah, that is a big problem. And I looked over the stats, and it was like he was only pressured. Burrow was only really pressured about 14 or 15% of the snaps last night, where he actually was pressured. There was times he was hurried, but not times that he was actually pressured to the point where he has been, the first couple weeks. So something's not happening. Either the play calling is way off, which that's where I'm at with it. And I think that's throwing Burrow off. I don't know what happened to the tempo. You're not seeing tempo anymore. You saw that somewhat last year, which kind of helped them a little bit. But I don't know. But as far as who I'm concerned with, it's definitely the Bengals side. I'm not worried at all about my Buckeyes. They're kicking butt. So that's at least one thing to be happy for over the weekend.
Absolutely. They finally got that love in the rankings. I saw number 2 right now. So there you go.
Yes. Did you catch any of the Alabama game or not? Yeah, the Alabama game.
We were in Cleveland for that. We were at a bar watching that. Everyone was gathered around and they were screaming at Kev's favorite coach, Jimbo, for the play call. So.
Oh yeah. I was right there with you. I wanted to see Saban go down so bad it was horrible. But
he lives to see another day. So there you go.
Yeah, but absolutely. So, hey, thanks for the time. Love the show. I get frustrated with you like most of the other people do, but then Kev is your balancing act. He's like your yin.
There you go. Yin and yang. There you go.
Thanks, Deb.
All right, buddy. Take it easy. You both are awesome, and I'm out of here.
Take care, Deb. Appreciate you. 518. See, there's a common theme on all the criticisms of the show. It's always I can't stand Kinner, but that's where Kev comes in to save the day. So there you go. All right. 518-1410. Appreciate the calls. Appreciate the social media interaction. I think right now there's reasons to be concerned. And I appreciate that, but when people called it on the post today is getting annoyed, people kept saying both. Of course, there's reasons for both teams to be concerned, but which team's fan base should be more concerned? And I appreciate everyone who called in and had definitive answers. I was probably the most wishy-washy, and I'm the one that told people today it can't be both. It has to be one or the other. But Kev, yes, the 2 division losses I think have to be the most concerning, because even if the Bengals flip that switch, they better flip that switch to the point to where they are perfect the rest of the way, because technically the Browns have a 3-game lead on them. You already have 2 losses in the division. The Browns already have a win in the division. That's a concern. They already lost to the Ravens. The Steelers loss stinks, but you could get the Steelers on the next go round. Can you get the Ravens on the next go round? Can you get Cleveland for the next 2? I mean, let's just say you beat the Ravens and you beat Cleveland one of the 2 times, and then you beat the Steelers the next time, that means you finish the season at 3-5 in the division. You're not making the playoffs that way. So
yeah, that ain't gonna cut it. The way it's looking now, it's looking like only the division winner from the AFC North is gonna make the playoffs.
That's insane. That's insane. Well, yeah. 518-1410. Phone lines are open. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 72. Tonight's going to be clear with starry skies, a low near 48. And tomorrow's going to be clear and sunny, a high near 75. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Okay, 3 more climbers, 7 loggers.
Ted's sustainably sourced logging company is growing a new branch.
What about truck driver contracts?
Which means a new HR manager will be the first hire to fall.
Then we'll need to staff up the warehouse.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us, on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us, on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
You need employees.
Tell me about it.
Actually, tell us about it.
Why?
Because when you tell us about your job openings, we can tell over 300,000 other people.
You can?
Yeah, whether you're looking for a job or a better job, Alpha Media Recruitment can help fill any position with qualified job seekers with a custom plan that combines our broadcast and digital platforms.
You can do that?
It's what we do. Alpha Media Dayton, on air, on site, on demand. Call 937-519-0111. That's 937-519-0111. Or email DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com. That's DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com.
Give your sweetie the priceless gold box this year for Sweetest Day. Or get a special pack box of those favorite pieces. Don't wait until the last minute. Come and visit us at any of our 7 locations. Shop online at EstherPrice.com or call us to place an order. It only takes a minute to make that special someone smile when they see their gold box of their favorites. So don't forget and place your order today.
The Homemade
goodness, everyone likes life's a whole lot sweeter with fine chocolates from Mr. Price.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
It's time for Frickin' Football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a Frickin' Chicken Taco, Grilled Chicken Taco, or Mississippi Barbecue Taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kenner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. How about this past Friday night, our ESPN Dayton High School football game of the week? The Fairmont Firebirds beat Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really, really good game. How about Fairmont? They beat Springfield. They've beat Wayne. They beat Trotwood earlier in the year. They beat Alter. I mean, my goodness, they have quite the resume right now. I mean, they're a playoff team. That's a team to look out for because they're not just they're versatile offensively. I know they're a run dominant team. Once in a while, they kind of maybe not this past week against Wayne, but that win over Miamisburg 2 weeks ago. You know, they had 3 total pass attempts heading into that win or that game against Miamisburg, and then they had the quarterback throw 6 times, 4 of 6, including the game-winning touchdown pass. And what I like is they were disciplined. They didn't go they didn't say, let's continue passing the ball because it worked against Miamisburg.
Right.
They went back to what they do best. They ran the football a ton. Keith and I, we did the game outside in the elements. It was a little chilly, a little cold. But it was a good one. It definitely made it worth it. But, yes, I know I'm missing another team. What's the other team? They got Centerville this week. But they beat Centerville this week, if that's the case. Centerville's without the quarterback. He got hurt against Beaver Creek.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. The meat of their schedule. They
just played Springfield.
Yeah. And they lost. I'm not saying they would have beat Springfield with their quarterback, but it would have been a different ball game. That's for sure. But that's unfortunate. Anytime a kid gets hurt, it's unfortunate. But the timing.
Yeah.
I asked Keith before. I said, injuries stink no matter when you get them, but which is worse? You go through a whole off season and then the season's right there and you get a season-ending injury in camp, or you play a long, grueling season, the playoffs are around the corner, and then you get hurt and miss all the playoffs. Which one's worse? He said definitely the preseason one, because this one hurts too, obviously, but he said the preseason one just because you can't wait to finally get there to play.
Yeah.
But, I've always thought that, it stinks no matter what.
I know we're in the Miami Valley and nobody really cares about, where I'm from, Cleveland, but my high school team is 8-0. Cleveland Heights High School Tigers. Hell to Tigers.
You mean we could be never mind. Not even going there. But they What division are they?
D1, baby. Don't disrespect us.
So are you disrespecting our Miami Valley teams who are not D1?
It is
You're one of them?
It is a
Interesting.
instinct. It is a natural instinct because me and my wife go about this all the time because our high schools actually play each other every single year in football. We beat them, by the way. We beat them. My high school beat her high school in football this year, and we beat them badly, by the way. And then we beat them badly in basketball every year. So, it's just like one of those things.
No bragging rights.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she's a Browns fan, and y'all beat us. So, I have to hold that.
So we are upsetting a listener.
Aw.
And Ann Anderson.
Hey, Ann, how are you?
She's upset because she's a huge baseball fan. Huge. And she's got on to me a few times over the last couple of weeks. But she says, come on, guys. We're in the middle of the MLB playoffs, and you guys are obsessing over week 5 of the NFL. You two really do need to get your priorities straight. Your dialogue will completely change in, say, 4 weeks, and with a million explanation points after that. And relax. We will talk baseball right now. I understand you want to talk. It's a 3-hour show. And NFL is the hottest sport out there. And it may not be your favorite sport, but it's the majority. So that's why we go with that. And to be a little selfish, I think my interests fall more in football than baseball if the Reds were in it. But that's not the case. So let's talk Guardians. I was in Cleveland over the weekend. Did not expect Cleveland to just sweep the Rays the way they did, but that was the case. By the way, Cleveland would have been a mess Sunday if game 3.
Right.
Because that game would have been probably around 4:00, right, as the Browns game was letting up. And I guess that might have helped a little bit. But Cleveland would have been hopping, that's for sure, if that was the case. But I have a problem. I went through this on Friday. Now that you're here, you can chime in. I did defend you. I said I only know one real Guardians fan. And that's Kev. The rest of y'all quit when they stopped being called the Indians, right? Isn't that what you all said? That's it. They changed the name. They're always the Indians to me. It ain't the Guardians. Well, you guys backed that up. You guys stopped going to games this year. The Cleveland Guardians, the Cleveland baseball team, the franchise itself, whether the Indians, the baseball team, the Guardians, whatever, had the lowest attendance in 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest attendance in 30 years. No one went to Guardians games all year. Now, Cleveland's, Guardians this. No. That's not how it works. I defended you. I said there's only one guy that's allowed to be mad at me if we don't talk enough Guardians on this show. And Ann, you're allowed to be mad at me too because she's been consistent. She's been on me for a while about too much NFL talk. That's fine. I said Kev has been Guardian since day one. He was Indians to the Cleveland baseball team to the Guardians. Kev hasn't swayed. So Kev, I defended you, but I said the rest of the Guardians fans, they've been winning all year. They won the division. Crickets. Everyone knew they were going to the playoffs. Crickets. Oh, they got a home game? Oh, I've got to be there for that too because it's cool. Now everyone has their Guardians gear. They're filling up the stadium, and now it's cool to be a Guardians fan. First of all, this is probably the best thing that could have happened for the Guardians for the branding sake because now memories are being made in the first year that they're the Guardians. And, I'm sure it's helping with merchandise sales and for the first time ticket sales and all this other stuff. But man, I hate the hypocrisy. The Guardians fans are the Bengals fans of Major League Baseball. No one's around. No one cares. No one talks about, but my goodness, they get good. And now everyone wants to be Guardians fans all of a sudden. I have a problem with that. Not you. You've been consistent. But I'm sure it's exciting to see fans of the games no matter what. But yeah, the hypocrisy of the fans. But the Guardians are in the division series against the Yankees.
So awesome. So awesome. Everybody knows by now. I talked about it in hour 1. It's hour 2. I went home this weekend to visit family. And the person that is responsible for me being a Cleveland Guardians fan is my grandmother. My grandmother is still mad at my mom till this day because my mom is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So her 2 sons are Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And my grandmother's goal was to make sure we rooted for one team that was from Cleveland. Eventually, I came around and liked the Cavs back when Mark Price and the guys were running the show and everything like that. But she used to take us to the old stadium, me and my brother, back when tickets were like $2, and they were terrible. Players like Corey Snyder was our only all-star and everything like that. She would take us to multiple games this summer and everything like that and forced us to like them. So when they got good in the 90s and they moved to then Jacobs Field, which is now Progressive Field, we're locked in. We were rooting for them when they were bad. So when they were turned good with Albert Bell and Kenny Lofton and Tomey and all the guys,
That's
like,
a team I love too.
yeah.
I that's when I was watching the Guardians back in the day. But that group right there.
So when they go to the World Series twice with that team, unfortunately lose to the Braves, and then they lost to the Marlins and everything like that, and then they go down again, they come back up, they go down, and then they unfortunately lost the World Series. And to see the team that I love, like everybody else loves their favorite teams, I think the Guardians for me is the only team that I love regardless of how bad they are, regardless of who comes in and who comes out. So like, even like with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I look at it kind of like, okay, I understand X, Y, and Z. Anything that comes with the Guardians, I don't understand. I'm a fan just like everybody else. So I can see a lot of people's perspective. So to watch that game and then win in the bottom of the 15th, I'm actually watching that game with my dad. I'm at his house, and he's flipping back and forth between the baseball game, and the Ohio State game. And I tell my pops, like, Pops, we're up 40 points on Michigan State. They're not coming back. Let's put our focus on the Guardians here. And as soon as he turned back, as soon as he hit the last button on the remote, crank, bottom of the 15th, homer, we win the series. We're headed to New York. And yes, I know it's the big bad Yankees and everything, but the Yankees pitching is no match for the Guardians pitching. The Guardians have a better pitching staff. I know Garrett Cole's going to be starting for the Yankees. He's a big dog. And obviously, Aaron Judge is a big dog. But if you watch what the Yankees did this season, if Aaron Judge isn't on, they're not on. He is their offense. He bats cleanup for a reason, and he does it very well. I think the Guardians have a chance, but they're going to have to score more than 4 runs. They scored 3 runs in that series versus Tampa Bay. The only reason they won is because they only gave up 1 run.
Ohio teams, they're allergic to scoring runs in the postseason.
So for me, the Guardians, matter of fact, the Guardians and Tampa, they're one of the few teams in baseball that still play quote unquote small ball. Like they're Stephen Kwan kind of got one of those guys that sprays all over the field and everything like that, and let the big bats do the big bat work. The Guardians have a chance in this series because they have a dominant pitching staff. And for everybody saying, oh, the Guardians, they play in the AL Central. The AL Central stinks. Well, the Yankees won 98 games. The Guardians won 92 games. And everybody plays everybody. It isn't like they only play teams from the AL Central, and they won the AL Central by 11 games. They got a good shot, and it all starts tomorrow at 7:30 on TBS. And I'm locked in. I can't wait. And I was in Cleveland, and I was trying to find a red Tristan McKenzie jersey, sold out. So I went to 3 different stores. I'm fresh off the highway. I'm like, let me try to get this jersey now before everybody else jumps on the bandwagon. But I guess I was too late because they were sold out. All they had left were the white Shane Bieber jerseys, and that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
So, those jerseys that everyone bought, they were the same ones on the rack since about March.
It was. I should have sent my mom up there to get one for me.
You had all season to buy it. And then everyone went at one time because baseball season started in Cleveland, apparently. So there's that. But yes, 94-win team. The Yankees a 99-win team. And a good chunk of those games come against the division. But again, it doesn't matter. It's tough to win 90 games in baseball. And for a team that just lost, being a fan of a team that just lost 100 games, watching a team struggle the way that the Reds did, I know more than anybody how hard it is to win these dang games. But nonetheless, so Bob Costas will be calling the Yankees and Guardians.
Put out a big dog for this one.
That's his first full playoff series, I believe, in like 22 years. Like he's calling the entire series. That's
wow.
Pretty cool. So this is an article from The Athletic. But the last time Bob Costas called every pitch of an MLB postseason series, Alex Rodriguez was a 24-year-old shortstop for the Seattle Mariners.
Goodness gracious.
So, yes, but the TBS is serving as the exclusive home of the 2022 American League Division Series. So Ron Darling and Bob Costas will be calling the game, and they'll be starting that at Yankee Stadium on Tuesday for Game 1 of the Yankees and Guardians ALDS game series. So that's pretty cool. Costas will serve as the on-site studio host for TBS coverage of the American League Championship Series as well. Brian Anderson, Jeff Rancour, and so on and so on. So pretty cool. They are bringing out the big guns for that. So there you go.
Do they announce the pitching matchup?
Cole is pitching game 1.
Right.
And then
Quantrill, maybe?
yes, that's who.
Oh, okay, cool. Perfect.
So,
perfect. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
So that's where we're at right there for that. The Phillies and the Braves tomorrow. That's a 1:00 first pitch right there. So there's that. And then the Seattle Reds. How about Eugenio Suarez? Some extra base hits. Then you saw Luis Castillo throw 7 innings, a shutout baseball. That's frustrating. But Quantrill, yes, is the one.
Did you check up on TJ Smooth? Because the Mets are out of there.
The Mets, man. How about the Padres and Dodgers? This is this is a big rivalry matchup too here in the National League. I'm excited about that. That Dodgers Padres series. I'm excited for. I'm bummed. The Cardinals got swept. A lot of sweeps.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians won in a sweep. Cardinals got swept. The Mets got swept. And here we are. But the Yankees Guardians tomorrow night on TBS. Garrett Cole against Quantrill again for the Guardians. Yankees are the favorite. Shocker. But there you go. So that series kicks off tomorrow night.
What did you think about the Mets skipper doing the whole pat down of the pitcher?
Gamesmanship. I don't mind it.
You had to. You got to slow him down. You got to do something.
And by the way, and I saw, and I'm so glad you asked that because so many people see they're abusing the rule. Really, that is no different than a field goal kicker lining up to hit a game-winning kick, and then you call a timeout to freeze the kicker. We call that excellent coaching and good strategy in football. A guy's going to the free throw line to win the ball game. What do you do? Oh, you call a timeout. Same thing. Freeze the free throw shooter, right? Make him think about it a little longer.
Yeah.
Let the angst in the arena kind of build up even more to put more pressure on the shooter right there. I have no problem with it. And this is the same thing. This is baseball's version of that. I don't mind. Now you're in his head. Now the cool thing is he goes and he strikes out the next batter, and then I don't know. I know what that is.
The nose white.
By the way,
terrible.
High schoolers do that.
Yeah. Did you see the Michigan guy got a 15-yard penalty for that?
For doing the sniffing of the fingers?
Yeah.
It's
a nose wipe.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It's a nose wipe.
So that's what that is.
Yes.
That players are wiping their nose. If you say so.
It's a nose wipe.
I see high schoolers, too, wiping their nose as a taunt on Friday nights. I find it funny. But
robot,
how many
we want robots.
How many parents up in the stands are like, oh, man, that's a cool celebration. He's wiping his nose.
Shouldn't be penalized for that.
I didn't mean to say that, by the way. I will probably get in trouble for that. Whoops. I better go to break. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. So, yeah, by the way, in the NFL, I see it all the time. Every time a player gets a first down, cameras always zoom in and they're wiping their nose.
First down.
Yep. Mm-hmm. If you say so.
Nose wipe.
William Yelly says the best was the Mets playing the trumpets down 4 when the closer came in. Hey, they were like, hey, we might get swept. We have no choice. This might be the only time we get to see him. But yes, that was pretty funny. But the postseason's in full swing. My prediction of Yankees Cardinals, obviously, that is shot in the foot. That stinks, man. Albert Pujols, you have that historic second half of the season that finished his career. And then his team just gets swept, and he's out. Man, baseball gods are unforgiving, man.
I actually like this. I like this a lot better than the 1-game playoff, but I like this because there's it could be over so quick. It's almost like March Madness in a sense that, hey, man, it's one and done. And in this case, a short 3-game, best of 3 games, it could be over in 28 hours.
Yep.
It could be all over. And no matter how good you played during the regular season, we talked about the Mets winning over 100 games. Their season's over. Just like that in 3 games.
I know. He used to say, you play 162 games to come down to 1 game. Well, now baseball's like, now we'll come down to 2 games. Make it 2. All right, folks, we'll be right back. 518-1410. And a head coach was fired today in the National Football League. And now some contenders are trying to poach some of their players. We'll talk about what that means for the NFL. College football, the Buckeyes finally get that love. and finally move up in the rankings. They move up to number 2. New team at number 1. Should the Buckeyes up at number 1? We'll get to all that. We got a jam-packed third hour coming your way.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Wendy's new French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's new French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Today on Hey Culligan, soft water, cleaner environment. What do you say, Greg?
Hey Culligan, are you saying if I have a Culligan high-efficiency water softener, I'm also helping the environment?
It sounds like you're saying it, Greg, and yes, you are, because with the Culligan high-efficiency water softener, you'll use less detergent, soap, and harsh chemicals, and that's good for the planet.
Now you're saying it.
You bet I am, Greg. Soft water and a cleaner environment is already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Have you heard? $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring Class A CDL drivers for home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight with brand new equipment, and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, company 401k. Plus, they're now hiring recent truck driving school graduates. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
The Kinner's Cash Contest is a company-wide contest for your chance to win $2,000 daily. No purchase necessary to enter or win. You will receive an email confirming entry. One winner will be chosen for each day. Contest is open to U.S. residents 18 years or older. Contest is sponsored by participating Alpha Media stations, audience or their parents, subsidiary and affiliated entities, advertising agencies, promotional partners, and members of families or households are not eligible to enter or win. Odds of winning depend on number of entries received. Contest is subject to all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Void where prohibited. Participants must sign all contest release and waiver forms to be eligible to win the prize. The contest begins on Monday, October 3rd and ends on Friday, October 21st, 2022. To participate in the contest, you must listen to the participating radio station at the specified times and enter the word that wins at wingam.com. Contest sponsors are not responsible for technical failures or malfunctions of any kind. For full contest rules, please visit wingam.com Decisions of station management with respect to the contest are final.
Dave Yost for Ohio. Dave Yost for America. Stand strong in the land of the free. Dave Yost for you and me.
Yo, Yost.
As our Attorney General,
Dave Yost is keeping us safe.
he's protecting religious freedom. And he's fighting to lower healthcare costs. Yo, Dave Yost. Paid for by Dave Yost for Ohio.
For you and me.
Need to visit the Ohio BMV? Go online first. It could save you a trip. It's now easier and more convenient than ever to get what you need from the BMV online. Need to renew your driver's license? Renew online. And if you need to renew your vehicle registration, visit one of our new BMV Express kiosks or go online. If you do need to visit a BMV agency, use the Get in Line online tool, also found on the website, to save your spot and minimize your time waiting. For more services available online, check out bmv.ohio.gov.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Veterans, were you exposed to harmful burn pit smoke while serving overseas? The Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized and is providing benefits to veterans who suffer with asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis as a result of burn pit exposure. If you served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti, and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is excited to announce their new delicious spicy bourbon chicken sandwich is here. It's the best of both worlds. Their spicy bourbon dippers that you love brought into a sandwich you'll crave. It's made with their famous spicy chicken sandwich, smothered in their special bourbon barbecue sauce, dripping with flavor on a brioche bun. Enjoy it in a combo with your favorite side and a drink, priced just right at only $6.99 and only available at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Miami Valley locations. Lee's, famous for spicy bourbon chicken.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Is it time to think about replacing or upgrading your water heater? Menards has the right Richmond water heater to fit your needs and your budget. Whether it's electric or gas, tank or tankless, you'll find the perfect model to fit any size home. We've got a great selection of energy-efficient Richmond water heaters in stock, and they're all 11% off. Good through October 16th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
The best audio entertainment this fall is on Audible. It's the home of storytelling with audiobooks, exclusive originals, popular podcasts, and more. All in one app. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on a Monday. We do have the Buckeye Roundtable coming up here in just a few moments. I should say an hour. Seems like just a few moments. But following the show again, the Buckeye Roundtable. The Ohio State Buckeyes, Kev, after taking care of business against Michigan State this past weekend, well, they finally got a little bit of love in the rankings. In fact, a little bit of a shift. I'm actually, Alabama did not play Bryce Young this past week. They held on for dear life, came away with the win against Texas A&M and Jimbo.
Mm-hmm.
They get the win. They dropped 2 spots. Alabama was the number 1 team in the country. Then they dropped from 1 to 3. Ohio State moved from 3 to 1. And then Georgia moved from 2 to 1. Georgia, they're still in love with Georgia. And I'm not in love with Georgia. I'm not going to split hairs here. Ohio State's number 2. Okay, that's fine. But can we stop with the charade here? Ohio State's the best team in the country. Georgia, as great as they are defensively, they're not explosive enough offensively, in my opinion. And Ohio State may not be as, on par with them defensively, but their offense is head and shoulders better than every other team in the country. There's not another team that even comes close to being as explosive as Ohio State is offensively. But right now, Ohio State, the number 2 team in the country, they move up. Georgia, number 1, Alabama, 3. But the one I've been talking about, I talked last week about Clemson being that team that's just continuously disrespected. I don't know what else they have to do to move in, higher. But they have it right. They have Clemson at 4. Michigan's at 5. They dropped from 4 to 5. They won. I picked Indiana to beat Michigan this past weekend. It was 10-10 at the half. Michigan didn't pull away till late in that second half. Michigan, I have no faith in Michigan. They're going to get beat. Michigan will have a loss between now and when they face Ohio State.
They play Penn State Saturday.
Well, it could come as early as this week then. But Michigan, I'm sorry. They're solid. They're good, but they're a poor man's version of Georgia. Solid defensively, not as good as Georgia. Solid offensively, but not as solid as Georgia's offense. They're a poor man's version. They're a poor man's version of Georgia. I'm not sold on Michigan. I can't believe I'm saying this. I thought one of the craziest things you said in the offseason was Tennessee. Tennessee, you could make an argument, should be ahead of Michigan, possibly ahead of Clemson, even though Clemson has the 2 top 25 wins. Tennessee looks really good.
Yeah.
I actually think I talked about explosive offenses. Look, with Bryce Young, Alabama's pretty explosive offensively. But I think Tennessee could beat Alabama, like you said. I'm kind of leaning where you are with that. I think Tennessee has the second most explosive offense in the country right now behind Ohio State, as far as weapons are concerned. Alabama, when clicking, obviously it's hard to not say them, but I like Tennessee. You have me sold on them. But very interesting, again, the Pac-12, USC right there, UCLA. How about that? Knocking off Utah.
Yeah,
good for
big
them.
win,
That's
huge win.
I thought that was one of the biggest games of the weekend as far as that. The storyline was Alabama narrowly escaping Texas A&M. But I thought UCLA improving to 6-0. They moved up 7 spots. Still couldn't crack the top 10. They are 6-0. They get a top 25 win against Utah and still can't crack the top 10. UCLA, good for them. I said I've been ripping the Big Ten all year, but maybe the Big Ten's not as bad as I thought, thanks to UCLA and the old USC. So what are your thoughts on that? Michigan at 5, Clemson moving up to 4, Tennessee's at 6. USC, they're 6-0, but they dropped a spot because Tennessee surpassed them. Very interesting top 10. I like it, though. There's a lot of it's kind of a fresher look right now. There's a lot of uncertainty at the top. That's for sure.
For me, I love the fact that you got 3 teams at the Pac-12 vying for relevancy. Obviously, USC with Lincoln Riley, but obviously Chip Kelly with UCLA getting a huge win over everybody's favorite from the Pac-12 this upcoming season, which Utah, which they're probably done on winning the Pac-12 this year. But also, you still got to worry about Oregon. Oregon's still floating around there. Yes, they had a terrible week 1 blowout loss to Georgia. And I think that's what people are still hanging on to with Georgia, because they do have a big time win. And, no matter what we want to think about their loss to Georgia, they still are ranked and they're still blowing everybody else that they play out. So that win still has to count for something. So just to play devil's advocate about Ohio State, Ohio State's quote unquote non-conference victory, Notre Dame, nobody's ringing the bell about that anymore, but people are still ringing it.
You're splitting hairs. That win over Oregon. Okay, that's fair. But from that perspective, I think that, especially if I'm going to clamor about the wins that Clemson has, I can't pretend that, Ohio State, through no control of their own, their schedule is not as strong as what we thought it was.
Right.
Wisconsin, I thought Ohio State was going to have a tough year. not like wins, losses, but I thought they were going to be challenged more. Wisconsin is garbage. Michigan State took major steps back. Notre Dame not even close to being as good as what we thought this year. So Ohio State's schedule that we thought was strong coming in,
right,
not good at all. Michigan's schedule still crap no matter what we thought coming in. So there you go.
So looking forward with Ohio State, obviously Michigan and Penn State are going to play. So this is what I really want, and this is to speak to the things that you talk about. Like you want to have that feeling inside, that nervous energy about going into a game. Whoever wins this game between Penn State and Michigan, I hope it's a close game. I hope neither one of them blow each other out. So when they do play Ohio State, it's still everything's up for grabs for that team as well, because that's what you have to deal with now in college football. A lot like that checkout factor. Once you lose and you're quote unquote out of the discussion for the college football playoff, you got dudes that are getting ready to enter the portal, get ready for the NFL draft. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm really not hoping for anybody to win. I just want it to be a good game and a close game. But yeah, offensively, Ohio State is just lights out. I mean, you got to think about it from this perspective. You keep 7 clean, and we're going to win a lot of games. And we're going to win this natty because Jackson Smith-Njigba, the number 1 receiver on Ohio State, has played about 10 snaps this season. So get that hamstring together. Let all the other guys continue to ball out of control, and you drop a weapon like that back into this offense, it's going to be lights out. Travion Henderson got a thigh bruise in the game versus Sparty over the weekend. We got this bye week coming up. Get him healthy. Get Mayan Williams back from what they were saying was a potential concussion. Get him back. Keep this ball rolling because the games versus Penn State and that team up north and maybe Maryland, those are the games that I'm looking forward to the most for the Buckeyes. But looking at the rest of college football, looking at Alabama and A&M, I'm surprised A&M didn't jump up in the rankings for almost beating Alabama because that's what
it works
they did.
That way.
That's what everything else. And speaking of that team that did get ranked after almost beating Alabama, Texas put a beat down on OU. Put a beat down on
3
them.
straight losses for Oklahoma. Blowout losses in back-to-back of those. Like, something's wrong in Oklahoma. Venables. And, it's weird because the first couple weeks, they looked more physical than Oklahoma teams have in past. They looked explosive offensively. I've never seen a drop-off from a team from 1 week, from 1 month to the next with real no explanation. It's not like injuries.
Well, yeah, their quarterback is injured
But
for the Texas game.
But defense,
yeah, they had for giving up basically 50 points. Nobody in their wildest dreams would have imagined that. But, the thing about today's modern college football is people or the upcoming recruits, they're still open for business, so to speak. So teams like Oklahoma or A&M, you keep losing these games. It's what? October 10th, you lose 2 more games before November. I'm officially decommitting from so-and-so school. And all the other schools are going to pounce because those schools bring in high-end talent. And then what happens? The other guys, once the season is over, after you play in the Backyard Bowl or the Meineke Care Bowl or the Kenner and Kev Nash Bowl, I'm entering the portal. And the other teams are going to pounce. So for teams that are on the way up, this is the prime opportunity for you to keep winning because there's different perspectives. There's teams that are trying to get back to relevancy that are, okay, they're playing some decent football. They're not winning like they expected to, but they're still on the way up. And there's teams that are on the way down. And I believe that A&M and Oklahoma are on the way down. You can just tell from the way they're losing these games and the opponents that they're losing to versus other teams out there that are climbing their way back up. So all those big-time recruits, they're about to start hitting that decommit button and going to other places.
Other interesting games this weekend, Kevin. We'll talk about more throughout the week. We'll have Jason Fitz on the show tomorrow. USC, Utah. I'm only bummed that Utah lost.
Yeah.
Because I thought this Utah-USC game was going to be a preview of the the Pac-12 championship. I think we're now another collision of UCLA, the Big Ten championship. I mean, that's what I'm going to call that if that's the case. But USC, Utah, you know what this has written all over it? Utah winning.
Right, exactly.
Because the Pac-12, that's how they operate. You think Utah, you take them out of the equation, man, it's USC, UCLA, and then watch UCLA and USC both come away with losses this coming up week. I'm trying to find UCLA. They might have a bye
They got a
week.
bye week. They got a bye week. They got a bye week before they go to Oregon.
Okay, so they got a bye week. Then Oregon, the big game this weekend, at least as far as the ABC primetime, the night slot, the Clemson Tigers at Florida State. So Clemson, the number 4 team in the country. But the biggest game of the weekend, no doubt about it, Alabama, Tennessee.
Oh, get your popcorn ready.
Alabama, Tennessee. Alabama, I don't know the last time outside of a SEC championship game, I don't know the last time I saw a line, an Alabama line in the regular season that they were a single-digit favorite. That's how long it's been. When they played Joe Burrow and LSU a few years ago, they were still 11.5-point favorite in that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so even when like a close line for Alabama is still like a 10.5 to an 11-point line, a 7.5-point line, number 3 at number 6 Tennessee. This is huge for Tennessee. I don't know the last time since Peyton Manning that Tennessee had a game this big. I mean, it's been a while. I mean that's one I have circled. Which one is bigger, Kev? Alabama and Tennessee, Penn State, Michigan. I know Alabama, Tennessee is the more sexy matchup, but as far as the college football playoff is concerned, which matchup is more intense as far as that goes?
Alabama, Tennessee. It's Alabama, Tennessee, because if Tennessee is able to beat Alabama, then everybody's going to say, well, if they beat Alabama, then they can beat Georgia. And if you're able to beat Georgia, you're able to play in the SEC championship game because they'll be the winner of the East because they've already beat Florida. So, like, that's the one that's sitting out there for them. So I know the Georgia game is, quote unquote, more important because it's out of the East. But shoot, when you're this late in the season, you're mid-October, and you got Alabama coming to town, this is an opportunity. This could be a statement situation. And I mean, I know everybody's worried about Bryce Young and the shoulder, and what if they beat them without Bryce Young? Look, man, this is a war of attrition. This is football. Like, everybody's not going to be out there. Nobody's talking about Tennessee's best receiver, Tillman, not playing the last 3 weeks. They still been blowing teams out. This offense that they're running down there is potent. They're scoring points left and right, man. Hendon Hooker is legit. He was terrible when it was at Virginia Tech. He's a transfer portal dude. He was terrible at Virginia Tech. And then you drop him into the system, he's looking amazing. So he's balling out of control. This is definitely the game of the week for me.
Yeah, and keep in mind, something that would be an interesting scenario. Tennessee beating, so let's just say Alabama beats Tennessee, gives them their one loss, and that's their only loss on the year. And then Tennessee beats Georgia.
Yeah.
Now you could have Alabama against Tennessee again, part 2 come SEC championship game. And then let's say Tennessee beats Alabama in the SEC title game. Now you have 3 teams. You can make an argument to put Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama in the college football playoff. And we've seen crazier scenarios develop. What if, Ohio State wins the Big Ten, which not a what if, that's happening. So Ohio State wins the Big Ten. But what if the Pac-12 implodes and USC and UCLA, they both get a loss, then that conference is done. Big 12, I'm not, Baylor, who's left out of the Big 12? Who am I missing?
Oklahoma State.
And they're undefeated still, but I don't have faith in them.
Oklahoma State and TCU are still undefeated.
I'm not ready to put them at the playoff table yet. So I'm going to eliminate the Big 12 just for this practice right there. So there's no one else. So there's one team from the Big 10. There's no ACC, or I'm sorry, I guess Clemson would be in the mix. I don't know. This has the makings of setting up what would be the most wild 14 playoff because legitimate teams are going to be left out.
Yeah.
A lot can happen. We're not even in November yet. But as of right now, like Tennessee's, I'm all in on Tennessee. I thought you were crazy in the offseason when you said that. I'm like, really, Kev? Like, okay. Like, usually I'm the hot take master over here. But that is interesting.
This is awesome for college football because you have these brands of the late 90s, early 2000s, like a Tennessee, being relevant again. This is good for college football to have a brand. Shoot, I can't remember the last time UCLA was relevant in college football. Troy Aikman was out there. Like that, or that's the last time I remember them being good at football. But USC, obviously, the Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart days, to have them relevant again, to have them a talking point. This is good for college football. So I'm here for it. And yeah, it's only October. It's the second week of October. Yeah, it's early. We still got a whole bunch of football to play. But just looking at Tennessee's schedule, I look at it for them. If I'm a Tennessee Volunteer fan, I'm looking at it as an opportunity. I mean, you're playing Alabama. You still got to play Kentucky. You still got to play Georgia. But like outside of that, everything should be pretty manageable for you to make a run. And like you said, if they only sitting out there with that one loss, this is what you want. And this is what I was talking about with Penn State and Michigan. You whatever loss it is, as a fan of college football, you want the loss to be close. So come the final rankings, there's a lot of talking points. There's everybody that has valid arguments to say, no, we deserve to be in the college football playoff because X, Y, and Z.
What do you do if you lose? What if you beat Bama, lose a close one to Georgia? Now you're not in the SEC title game, but you finish the season with one loss and a win over Alabama, who, let's say, beats Georgia in the SEC title game. So your one loss is a close loss against Georgia, but you beat the number one team in the country. I'm telling you, this Tennessee team, they can make a lot of noise.
And Spencer Tillman is supposed to be coming back for this game versus Bama.
So
their number one receiver.
There's a big weekend coming up. Ohio State has a bye week, but a lot can be, the Big Ten, it's a big weekend for them because I think the Big Ten is very, very bad. I think Penn State's overrated. I think Michigan's overrated. But the winner of this game coming up on Saturday, the big Michigan kickoff for the fourth straight week or third straight week, the big Michigan kickoff, that team up north against Penn State, Kev, this is an interesting matchup too, because the winner of this is going to be thrown right into the big boy category. I know Michigan's technically already there, but they beat Penn State at a top 10 win. It'll solidify all the critics of, they haven't played anybody, even though I still don't think a win over Penn State. Penn State's not as good as people think, so I'm not going to give them too much credit. They beat Penn State, but whatever. It's at least a good team with a number in front of them finally. So there we go. But your thoughts on this Michigan-Penn State matchup, because this is big for the Big Ten. Finally, a big Big Ten game that doesn't feature Ohio State. That's healthy for the conference, a conference that I think is the worst in college football right now, the only conference with 2 head coaches fired before we even get to the halfway point.
Yikes. Before I talk about that, I do want to give thoughts and prayers out to former running back from Michigan, current running back coach Mike Hart. He had suffered a seizure during their game versus Indiana over the weekend. Thoughts and prayers to him and his family. Hope he gets back on his feet. But speaking for this game, I'm here for it. I want to see what Penn State is really all about. I know that Michigan's defense isn't what it was last year because, it's hard to have basically two first-round picks on the defensive line and a defensive back first-round pick to replace them unless you're named Alabama or Georgia. But their defense has been playing pretty good this season. And I want to see if Penn State is able to hold up against that Michigan run game. And I think this is more of a litmus test for Penn State than it is Michigan because, Michigan has won the Big Ten. Michigan has gone to the college football playoff. Penn State has won the Big Ten, but they haven't been to the college football playoff. And this iteration of Penn State hasn't done anything. So, Sean Clifford, who seems to have been at Penn State for 13 years, this is his opportunity to make a statement. This is a big-time game, man. It's Penn State at Michigan. I'm here for it.
518-1410, 518-1410. Shaw. All right, let's try Shaw again. Shaw, how are you? I promise I haven't been making you wait to be mean. We just haven't got to college football till now. So what up, dude?
What's up, man? Not a whole lot. No worries. I understand.
You don't seem to be that busy this afternoon. Left you on hold for 2 hours.
I get off at 2:30, brother. Golf course is going light right now. Well, I called in originally because of the NFL stuff. But
then my bad on that. You could jump in on that still. That's fine. But yeah, I thought you were calling in because my upset pick didn't come to fruition.
It looked closer than what the box score says. And I know you can twist stats to whatever you want to say, but Kev kind of just alluded to it. I think that affected the boys a little bit more than what people want to give them credit for. You see a coach collapse on the sideline and have to be carted off the field and then rush to the hospital because they don't know what's going on. I think that's going to affect 18 to 20-year-olds a little bit more than what people want to say.
Scary stuff.
It's real easy to sit here on the sideline and watch on TV and say, "Oh, you just got to get over that." I don't think it's that easy to get over. They go into halftime, they regroup, they talk to Mike Hart on the phone. He called them and he gave them. I don't know what was said. Obviously, I wasn't there, but They come out in the second half and they completely dominated that second half. Everybody wants to talk about how Michigan lost everything.
21-0 in the second half. I don't know if that's dominating.
When you hold a team to 22 yards of offense in the second half, that's dominating.
Yeah, but in college football, it's all about the offense too. And your boring offense, 21 points in the second half. That's it. That's all you could put up against Indiana.
Sophomore quarterback put up 300 yards of offense, threw three touchdowns, threw his first pick, and he's still growing. The offense is still growing. I mean, it's fine. Nobody wants to give us any credit. No one gave us any credit last year, and we saw what happened.
If Ohio State won 31-10 over Indiana, we wouldn't be saying we're fine.
You would say it was a workmanlike competition, and you moved on and you won the game.
No, because if you know when Ohio State almost lost to Indiana years ago, our fans ripped Ohio State for almost losing to Indiana.
Our fans are ripping Michigan too, but they're also looking at it.
Well, then that means there's smarter Michigan fans out there than you calling in and say, well, it was a good hard fought battle. We dominated them. We didn't dominate them.
We dominated the second half. See, you're putting words in my
you're a
mouth.
second half
You do
team.
that a
I
lot.
see.
You
It was
do that a lot.
10-10 at the half. No one's bragging about being 10-10 against.
10 at the half because a dude collapsed on the side.
Okay, that's unfortunate that happened, but I don't know. I've seen Michigan play flat football in quite a few games and halves this year, and there's nothing crazy that happened in those games.
You've seen Michigan play flat football and then lose, not win.
No,
by
they're undefeated
21.
right now. They're not.
They play flat football and then lose. Everyone wants to sit there and hold the old Michigan over this team's head and last year's team's head. Yet every week they could going out there and proving people wrong.
Oh yes,
they couldn't move
great
the ball.
competition
they
they've had.
They couldn't move the ball against top 5 defense Iowa. They couldn't play on the road. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. This defense is worse than last year, yet they have more sacks as a total as a team than they did last year at the sacks.
I would hope you could dominate these bad football teams. Hoofa, and I don't call Saturday dominating.
Everyone keeps saying that. You might want to look at some.
You wouldn't want those dudes back on the team, though?
Your rear end. Do what?
You wouldn't want them dudes back on the team, though?
Yeah, we don't need Hutchinson.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
I'm just making sure.
What I'm saying is this defense is playing some darn good football, and nobody wants to give them credit. That's fine. We'll see you at the end of November.
I mean,
that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. You're going to lose this weekend, though.
We were going to lose last weekend, according to you, too.
And you almost lost to Indiana.
No, we didn't almost lose.
Why are you yelling? It was
For
17-10.
It
was 17
every single
It was
day.
17
You
to
don't
10.
know anything.
It was 17-10 after 3 quarters.
For someone that talks on the radio, you don't know anything.
It was 17-10
You
after
don't.
3 quarters.
They gave up negative 12 yards of offense.
That's fine, but what about their offense? They only put up 7 points in the third quarter.
Oh my God, you're killing me, dude.
It was
You're
17.
killing me.
If Ohio after
You're
3,
killing me.
I
You're
know I'm
killing me.
telling you,
You're
if
killing
after
me.
3 quarters of play, if you want me to talk about Michigan like the other elite teams, I'm going to hold them to the elite standard. If Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State was only up 17-10 over Indiana after 3 quarters of play, we would be blasting them. I'm giving your team the same treatment. What are you upset about? I'm trying to treat you like a legitimate team.
I'm not upset. I'm not. What I'm
You're
upset
yelling.
about
I
is
would
the
hate to
fact-
see if you were
No.
upset.
What I'm upset about is the fact that you're just completely glossing over the fact that a coach collapsed on the sideline.
I think both could be true at the same time. It's unfortunate that
happened,
happened, but you were only up 17-10 after the third quarter.
When the other team isn't moving the ball, or is it really worrisome that they're going to lose the game?
I wonder if Indiana fans are saying, man, we really kept that offense in check for 3 quarters.
The offense wasn't held in check.
You had 17 points after 3 quarters against one of the worst defensive teams in the country.
Don't look at the
I did.
stats.
We
Watch
were
the game.
we were
No,
live
you
at Submarine
didn't watch
House.
the game. You
We were
looked at the
watching the
stats.
game.
You
I
looked
was
at the
watching it. I was like, man,
You
this Michigan
didn't
team
watch
looks
the
like
game.
ass. I was like, they
Then
don't
you
look
would
very good.
know- Then you would know that literally it was a penalty here and a penalty there. It was a sloppy game. I'll give you that. I'll give you
Wow, a
everything you
hardball
wanna talk
team's
about.
not,
But to sit-
disciplined. Wow.
They went into that game the least penalized team in football.
And then they broke out
It
the
doesn't
penalties.
matter what they do. Dude, they could be playing the best conference schedule in the world right now. They could have already played Georgia. They could have already played Alabama.
Why would they play Georgia and Alabama in the conference? They're not even in the SEC. You're confused.
They could have beat them teams by 15, and you still wouldn't give them credit.
No, that's not
You still
true.
wouldn't.
But
No, it
that's-
is true.
No, you've
It
played
is
bad
true.
teams, and
What
you
are
want me to give you credit for
here's
beating
the
bad
scenario.
teams.
Here's the scenario. We win by 21 this week. What are you going to say?
Then I'll be like, hey, finally, you guys finally beat a good team. Even though it is Penn State, I think Penn State's a little overrated. A little overrated, but that's all right.
We roll out in 2 weeks after the bye week, and we beat that team by 35. Then what are you going to say?
What team?
You know what team. Kev definitely knows what team.
Kev, what team? Tell us what team, Kev.
This is between you two men.
No, you're tagging you in. Let's go. What team, Kev?
Which team were you? Sparty?
You know what team.
Oh, you better blow Sparty out like Ohio State did. Otherwise, you'll hear from me again. I'm just saying, like, good, dominant elite teams destroy bad teams. They're not up 17-10 after 3 quarters.
We didn't blow out Indiana last year.
Okay.
We didn't blow them out last year.
Okay.
We won 29-7 last year.
It's a weird flex.
You're talking about Indiana like there's some god, but yet
no, I'm not. Actually, I'm telling you how bad they are, and you were only up 17-10 after 3 quarters.
We beat them 29-7 last year when we were up 17-7 going in the fourth quarter last year.
Maybe the committee will remember that heading into the first college football playoff poll. Remember that game against Indiana in 2021?
Penn State this week, it ain't going to matter what the Indiana game looks like.
Not really, because then when Penn State drops to like 17 in the country and you only won by 21 against the 17
team. It's not going to matter. The only game that matters on this schedule, because the Big Ten sucks, is the last game of the year.
Okay.
It's the only one that matters.
Okay.
It's the only one that matters. I'm just tired of, like, no matter what they do.
Okay, that's not true. You can't. Okay, hold up, Shaw. If you're going to say that, you have to have an example of a time that they did something legitimate and I didn't give them credit for it. When did they do that?
All of last year.
That's not true. They didn't do a damn thing. You just said it. They didn't do a damn thing until they beat Ohio State. They barely beat Indiana last year. You just bragged about that. It was a weird flex.
You didn't give them any credit last year until after they beat the rear end. All week.
Because that's the only good thing they did last year. Look what happened when they got to the playoff. They got obliterated. It was one of the least watched college football playoff games in history. It was unbelievable.
I heard they had no shot all week. I'm hearing they have no shot again all this year.
Oh, you're using the bumper sticker material. I think I can.
It's not bumper sticker material. What do you want them to do? Go out and beat every team by 70?
I hold Ohio State to that not 70. But I am holding Michigan. I don't know what you're getting angry for. I'm holding them to the same Oh, why are we name calling, buddy? Come on. I am holding Michigan to the same standard.
How'd you give up 20 to Michigan State? How'd you give up 20 to Michigan State?
Because they were up by more than 21 and they put their backups in. That's what good teams do. You need full 4 quarters, to beat Indiana, the Hoosiers.
You gave up 20 points to the worst offense in the Big Ten. Congratulations. Good job. You did real well.
Okay.
You did real well.
So is it Ohio State bad?
You're trying delusional talk that you're talking about.
So you're trying to tell me Ohio State's bad? Ohio State's bad.
No, but Ohio State's not bad. What I'm saying is you're talking about a game where they won by 21, like the game was in doubt. It wasn't.
I'm holding your team to the same standard that I hold Ohio State and everyone else to, at least the elite teams, and you're not living up to that.
They're not the same teams. They're not the same teams.
So they're not elite. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. 518-1410. 518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We all agree Michigan is not elite. All right, we'll be right back.
Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 72. Tonight's going to be clear with starry skies, a low near 48. And tomorrow's going to be clear and sunny, a high near 75. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Wendy's new French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's new French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
That's the sound of a crack in the ceiling found at a home inspection. But with a Realtor by your side, a newfound leak might only cause minor worries. With their expertise, a Realtor can suggest a credit at closing and even connect you to a contractor to help you shore up that leak and alleviate your worries. When it comes to cracks in your plans, the expertise of a realtor can make all the difference. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is in shape for the season with the experts and community trusted service that you can rely on from William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning. We're offering exclusive savings opportunities on the new Lennox system. Call William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning at 937-222-8638 today or visit us online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ohio license number 14911.
Ohio's educators make a difference in their students' lives every day. From classroom teachers to paraeducators, professors, bus drivers, school secretaries, custodians, and more. These are the people who have dedicated their lives to serving our kids and making our public schools great. And we want to say thank you. Join the Ohio Education Association in recognizing an education champion in your community. Go to ohea.org/education champions to submit your nomination now.
Dave Yost for Ohio. Dave Yost for America. Stand strong in the land of the free. Dave Yost for you and me.
Yo, Yost.
As our Attorney General,
Dave Yost is keeping us safe.
He's protecting religious freedom. And he's fighting to lower healthcare costs.
Yo, Dave Yost. Paid for by Dave Yost for Ohio.
For you and me.
Do you have an old sports program, baseball, photo, ticket, or game-used equipment just collecting dust? Sports Investments wants to buy your sports memorabilia. They're also interested in old sports cards and also buying political, aviation, and entertainment items. Bring your collectibles to Sports Investments and get a fair value on the spot. If you decide to sell, they'll pay you immediately. Sports Investments is the largest buyer of memorabilia and cards in the area since 1993. Sports Investments also feature the best selection of autographed memorabilia, sports cards, and other collectible items for sale, including all your favorites like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Bengals, the Browns, the Big Red Machine, UC, XU, UK, NKU, UD, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, just to name a few. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Wolter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email adam@sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com. You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner. I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungeredInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The best audio entertainment this fall is on Audible. It's the home of storytelling with audiobooks, exclusive originals, popular podcasts, and more. All in one app. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at Audible.com.
Justin Kinner back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Like it usually does, Shaw calls in. I try to be the adult. I try to be the mature one. We try to have a conversation, but he starts yelling. He calls me dumb. He calls me names. Shaw, when I do release my listener rankings, I felt bad that you were on hold for as long as you were. And I was like, Shaw, he probably earned a top 10 vote. You got a -5 vote now. You waited 2 hours just to call in and tell me that I'm wrong. Because here's the deal. Like I've said, if Alabama played Indiana and was only up 17-10 after 3 quarters of play, I would have been ripping Alabama. I would have ripped Georgia. All right. Clemson, I'd be questioning Clemson on how good they are. And I'm consistent on this, by the way. You think I'm just doing it to kind of, flame the hatred of between Ohio State and Michigan. That's not the case at all, because I remember with the Bearcats, I was doing this with Cincinnati. Everyone's like, Cincinnati, they deserve respect because they haven't lost. And I said, well, who you play matters. And you kept saying you agreed. You were always on my side, Shaw, when it came to the Bearcats, because I kept saying that who you play matters. And I don't care if you blow out bad teams. At least that shows that, hey, that's what good teams are supposed to do. But when you are hanging around with Indiana after 3 quarters of play, 17-10, sorry, I would be upset with Ohio State. And by the way, only putting up 30 points against Indiana, I would be saying, Ohio State, you only put 30 up against Indiana. That's the same thing. Cincinnati, same thing last year. Bearcat fans got so mad at me because all I kept saying was, that's cool, but you're hanging around in games with very, very weak opponents, that if Ohio State did that, or Alabama or Clemson or anyone else, all of those teams, we would be ripping. So I'm holding Michigan. If Michigan is an Ohio State, which they're not, but they beat them last year. Yeah, well, Iowa beat Ohio State within the last 6 years. So did Purdue. Is anyone in Iowa or Purdue acting like that they've made it? No. So please stop with that. Oh, we beat Ohio State last year. Congratulations. You put an end to a decade-long losing streak. That's a weird flex. We beat you once in the last 11 years. Yeah. Super. Go do it again this year. Don't do it again this year. But if you do, maybe then you can have a little bit more momentum. But I don't think me holding that team up north, if you want to pretend that they're there, if you want to pretend that they're one of them, then I'm going to treat them like that. I wasn't treating Cincinnati like that last year. I said, come on, guys, stop. You're falling in love with the feel-good story of the Bearcats. They haven't beat anyone of significance, and even if they beat someone of significance, they didn't do it in a way that we would find satisfactory of Ohio State, Alabama, or Clemson, or Georgia. So I'm holding Michigan to the standard of the elite teams. You want to pretend your team's elite? Fine. Then I'm going to hold them to elite standards. That means beating, destroying, and dominating bad football teams. And I don't like winning 31-10 was dominating Indiana. It was 10-10 at the half. And don't try to use the emotional thing of what happened to one of their coaches. I'm not saying that didn't play a role on it, but come on. He called him at halftime, said it was fine, and then they were fine, and they only put up a whopping 7 points in the third quarter because everything was fine. No, they're just not an elite team that overwhelms bad teams. Indiana's a bad team. Now, you steamrolled really, really bad teams earlier. William Yelly, where'd you go? Because he said this guy is bragging. He said this guy is bragging about their defense, shutting people down with the 127th best strength of schedule. I agree. Stop bragging about your defense when you've played absolutely nobody to challenge that defense, and a bunch of nobodies at times technically have almost challenged it. I don't know. It is what it is. Oof. I don't even know what to say. We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. By the way, Ryan Strong, real quick. Ryan Strong says, I never ever agree with Kinner unless it's Kinner versus Shaw. Ryan Strong, you just got the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. You just got rankings points. I'm going to release my top 10 listener rankings this week. You just moved up in the rankings. I can't wait to release that. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the game,